Chapter 261. Loyal Heroic Tablet. Incense Fire Divine Sect _6. Ning Xiang gently stretched her slender legs under the table, removed her embroidered shoes and touched the other person, coquettishly saying, "It is simple to take it away, General. Just enjoy a delightful night with me. I would really like to try your Vajra body." All right then. Chun Sansi nodded, deliberately saying, "Although it's ordinary, for the sake of Xian Iron, I can do it." Ning Xiang instantly lost interest and kicked him hard, saying irritably, "Do you really think I fancy you? Fine, I'll give you the iron. In exchange, you need to help me find a medicinal herb in the Luotian mountain range for treating external injuries, called broken grass. It shouldn't be too hard for you, right? Broken grass." The corresponding functions emerged in Chun Sansi's mind. When combined with a few other invaluable herbs, it can be used to reattach severed limbs. But this thing is rare. He said, "I can't guarantee that for you." "Then please do your best, General." Ning Xiang said, "Even if you can't find it, the iron is still yours." "I'll do my best then." Chun Sansi started packing up the iron. "Miss, do you have anything else to say?" "You could tell, huh?" Miss Ning Xiang said somberly, "General Chun, have you heard of the Incense Fire Divine Sect?" Incense Fire. Chun Sansi hadn't anticipated that she would bring up this topic before he could inquire about it. He seriously said, "I haven't heard of it. Tell me about it." "There are countless ways to cultivate immortality in the world, and Incense Fire Divine Tao is one of them." Miss Ning Xiang explained, "Among them, there's a sect called the Incense God Sect. They have a special technique that allows them to steal the spiritual incense from deities for their own use. But due to their mysterious actions, little is known about their detailed whereabouts. It is only known that they prefer to hide in places within a state or mansion where the incense is most prosperous, though sometimes they might deliberately hide in places with poorer incense to conceal their identity. Incense can also be used for cultivation?" Chun Sansi took the opportunity to inquire, "Is there any difference compared to the so-called cultivation of spiritual energy?" "Of course there are. Cultivation can be divided into entering the path and not entering the path." Ning Xiang patiently explained, "If you're not on the path, you can use incense to some extent instead of spiritual energy, but if you enter the path, you can't change back, and it's said that cultivating with incense involves some costs, but I don't know what they specifically are." Entering the path? Chun Sansi was even more confused. "Miss Ning Xiang, could you please explain clearly what it means to enter the path and what it means not to enter the path?" Entering the path. Ning Xiang explained, "When you absorb energy through your spirit root and store it in your dantian, that is considered entering the path. The rest, if you simply use spiritual energy to practice some minor magic skills without being able to store it in the dantian and transform your body, do not count as entering the path. The same applies to incense." Chun Sansi understood. Since he was only practicing sword chi skill, he wasn't considered to have entered the path, so he didn't need to be concerned about any adverse effects from incense and could use it safely. "Let me show you a small magic skill, General." Ning Xiang beckoned with her finger. "Zhao Zhao, come here." "Me? I don't want to." Before Zhao Zhao could finish speaking, she saw Ning Xiang's dark pupils turn pink under the influence of Qingxian energy. After making eye contact, Zhao Zhao became dazed and silly, drooling while hugging Ning Xiang's thigh. Chun Sansi watched this scene, which truly seemed like an illusion technique. No wonder rumors said that guests who had seen Ning Xiang couldn't return to their senses for 3 days. Perhaps they've really become foolish. Ning Xiang extended her delicate finger and gently tapped on Zhao Zhao's forehead, after which the latter regained her normal demeanor. She smiled seductively. "What do you think, General? Want to join the Seeking Immortal Tower? I can teach you." "Not interested," Chun Sansi asked. "By the way, you suddenly started discussing the Incense God Sect and incense with me. Could it be?" General is truly astute. You knew what I wanted to say just by listening. According to reliable information, the Incense God Sect has a branch in Liangzhou. Ning Xiang looked towards the window. The 2 Taoists who died at Xiayun Temple a while ago were most likely from the Incense God Sect. After they died, It is said that followers from near the capital are hurrying here, but their purpose is unclear. That implied it's probably that master uncle from Ci-Yun Temple. Chun Sansi pondered. Ci-Yun Temple has been around for a long time. They are people from the Incense Fire Divine sect. Why didn't you know about this earlier? There were suspicions, but no proof. After all, we don't know how to use incense, nor would we rashly go to investigate. Besides, you didn't ask me before. Ning Xiang continued. I'm telling you now because they might be planning something big soon. So be alert. Something big? Chun Sansi asked curiously. Concerning Liangzhou?
No.
Ning Xiang gently shook her head. It's about the capital. According to our sources, the people from the Incense God sect have recently started collecting items from various places and sending them to the capital, most likely incense, but it's unclear what they intend to do with so much incense in the capital. Gathering incense for the capital. Chun Sansi subconsciously suspected it was related to the old emperor, similar to the previous witch god sect. But it was just a possibility. Miss Ningxiang also said, we can track some of the movements of the incense god sect, but what people they interact with and what they do on a daily basis is completely unknown to us. That should have nothing to do with me. But still, thank you for letting me know, Miss Ningxiang. Chun Sansi said. It had nothing to do with him, but it probably had something to do with Chao Fan. The incense burner from Ci-Yun Temple was still soaking in a pond in the Chao family's backyard, and the incense within had been completely absorbed, leaving no clue how the incense god sect would react. If there's nothing else, I shall take my leave first. Chun Sansi bowed with his fists clasped and left with his long sword slung over his shoulder. But he did not return home. Instead, he changed directions and spent the night in another brothel. Since Chao Fan's residence was located in a bustling area, there happened to be a high-rise brothel nearby that offered a view of the house. Chun Sansi planned to see if the incense god sect was indeed able to find their way there. He spent his days practicing and his nights sleeping in the brothel. 2 days passed like this. Finally, on the third night at midnight, Chun Sansi finally saw something happening. 2 figures flickered momentarily and leapt over the wall into Chao Fan's residence. 2 Taoists moved silently through the darkness, one following the other. Unexpectedly, those 2 people under Qiu Mingzi turned traitors, sneaking around with the witch god sect. We hadn't even gotten a chance to question them before they died in the prison. Squad leader, what is the witch god sect up to in Liangzhou? It's probably related to the depths of the Luotian mountain range, but let's not worry about it for now. Our primary task is to handle the important matters in the capital first, and then we can get involved in Liangzhou's affairs. And who had the audacity to steal the incense burner? In front of the air mansion, the 2 stopped. Squad leader, are we certain we're not mistaken? How did the incense burner end up here? The bloodlight technique, how could it be wrong? Their voices were as thin as mosquito whines. While discussing, they approached a rockery in the backyard. The leading old Taoist looked at the pond and spoke in a deep voice. The object is below. Good. The other person quietly dove into the water and in a few breaths re-emerged, carrying the incense burner. Squad leader, it's really here, and the incense is gone. What? The old Taoist picked up the incense burner, held it carefully in his hands, and his face immediately soured. Squad leader, the subordinate said, could the princely heir be responsible? I'll go question him right now. Don't move. The old Taoist frowned. This matter is a significant secret. Don't make a fuss about it. Whether it's Chao Fan or not, we just need to ask when we get back. Right? The subordinate confusedly said. If it was Chao Fan, he wouldn't have hidden the object in the water. He could have directly told us. But within Liangzhou City, who else knows the incense technique? Seeking Immortal Tower? No, they don't even know how incense is collected. Sun Xiangzong? He hasn't much dealt with incense either. And he's not even in Liangzhou right now. The emperor himself doesn't know where he is. So who else could it be? After all this, Chao Fan is still the most likely. Creak! A noise of a door opening came from afar. The two Taoists did not linger, leaping up to the surrounding wall and then disappearing into the darkness once more. Inside the brothel, Chen Sansi was somewhat disappointed.
No disturbance?
He had thought there would be a great show to watch tonight, yet his days of vigil had been in vain. Such a large amount of incense was stolen, and the people of the incense god sect showed no anger at all? Were they afraid of the chows? Or was there another hidden reason? Enough! Chen Sansi realized that if he wanted to avenge himself and Yusong, he would need to take action himself. In the coming days, he planned to first break through to great success in Huajin, while simultaneously practicing the sword chi skill. Chapter 262. Huajin Great Success, War Resumes. Chun Mansion, the back courtyard. Buzz! Whoosh! Si Qin, holding food and drink, stopped at the entrance to the back courtyard. Listening to the noises inside that frightened her so much, she didn't dare to come any closer. There was just a door separating them, yet it sounded as if a gale was blowing inside. She didn't dare to make a sound to disturb, gently put the things down at the door, and slipped away. Another late autumn had come. The thick layer of fallen leaves in the courtyard gradually gathered together beneath the jiao long-like dance of the long spear, eventually forming a golden tornado that swept through, shattering one flower bed after another, with the sound of popping and cracking continuously erupting. Inside Chen Sansi's body, the blood of the dragon and elephant boiled and surged. His Xian Yuan's 5 organs were operating at full capacity, maintaining the blood explosion state while continuously generating powerful energy, which was then infused into the 5 tigers' soul-breaking spear without stop. The path of martial arts. One misstep leads to a cascade of more. Starting with chi blood, if one is naturally inferior to others, as their realms climb higher, the gap between the same levels will grow wider and wider, eventually forming a chasm too great to cross. This was the very reason why Selected Point deemed the bone assessment stage so crucial. Only martial artists with a strong physique could cultivate a more solid foundation. At this very moment, Chen Sansi continuously tested his limits to refine the purity and strength of his energy. With small achievement in Huajin, it meant to enhance one's weapon with energy. And with great success, one could externalize the energy to form a layer of force around the weapon, achieving a terrifying offensive power. Even without the weapon's blade making contact with the opponent, it could still inflict damage. If one were unarmed, using only hands, they could still block a sharp blade with pure energy, provided their energy is indeed more powerful than the opponent's, and they wouldn't hurt themselves. Every time Chen Sansi thrust his long spear, he felt the energy infused on the gun tip grew stronger. Gradually, it began to spill over the tip and then spread outward. He kept pushing himself deliberately, exhausting every bit of energy until he was worn out and had drained the last whiff of energy from his body. Then came a qualitative change. After the extreme pain, his body ascended once more. The energy born from his chi blood and internal organs became more refined. When added to a mystical weapon, it was like an extendable sharp sword expanding around it. Upon reaching the gun tip, it formed an invisible force wrapping around the blade. Breakthrough. Huajin had achieved great success.
Cultivation technique, National Gardien Dragon Spear.
Huajin, great success. Progress, 0 to 0. Utility, true dragon strength. True dragon strength. The energy rampages, akin to a true dragon. The energy of a common person can be simply described as adding another invisible blade around the weapon's edge. It's static, with only the differences in strength and no special qualities. But the energy of the true dragon strength is alive. Buzz! Chen Sansi gripped the spear shaft with both hands, enhancing it with energy. The 5 tigers' soul-breaking spear trembled incessantly, especially the buzzing from the gun tip, as if several small dragons were circling around the blade. He didn't use any moves or let the spear tip actually touch any object, just slowly pushed the long spear with true dragon strength, and when he was still more than an inch away from a potted plant, the ceramic pot burst open with a bang. Such a weak reference object still couldn't manifest the full extent of the power. If he had to describe it, Chen Sansi felt that the true dragon strength outside his spear tip was like a chainsaw that could attack twice upon contact with an enemy, bound to be highly effective in real combat. Done. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and took a deep breath. Next, it's time to hit the Meridian Passage. The cultivation technique for the Meridian Passage realm. Shortly after returning to Liangzhou, Sun Li brought it to him, still the national guardian dragon spear, complete with the techniques up to the Xuanxiang realm, including annotations and insights. She hadn't given it to him all at once before because she must have added these things later. Speaking of which, his master had vanished since he went to the capital city, an ordinary man gone without a trace nearly a year, including the chaos in Ming State where it was rumored that the emperor himself almost took to the field. Chun Sansi guessed there must have been something more important for him to attend to. But honestly, even his master's presence didn't have much significance for his cultivation anymore. As the saying goes, the master guides you through the entry, but your progress depends on yourself. He had the cultivation technique and the supply of treasure medicine had never been interrupted. What remained was solely reliant on his own effort. Speaking of which, Chun Sansi had been anything but frugal with the treasure medicine, devouring it continuously as long as he could digest it. After Hua Jin, each pill could be worth thousands or even tens of thousands of taels, a cost that most officials would find unaffordable. Originally, his master demanded that he reach Martial Saint within 3 years. Now, a year had passed and 2 major realms remained: Meridian Passage, Profound Image Realm, and finally Martial Saint. With enough resources, perhaps, one can only do one's best and leave the rest to fate. After a brief rest, Chun Sansi ate the food left at the door and then went back inside to lock the room. He took out a xianzhu filled with white xian qi and purple incense, starting to practice the sword qi skill. Once certain that the practice of magic would not be affected by the incense, he could confidently and boldly use it. Chun Sansi sat cross-legged, eyes closed, focusing on meditation. He held the xianzhu in his hand and, under the pull of his spirit root, continuously drew the energy from the incense into his body before circulating it within his meridians according to the pathways of the sword qi skill. Magic, sword qi skill, entry level. Progress, 435/500. Chapter 263 Hua Jin Great Success. The battle resumes _2. During this period, I trained in martial arts by day, studied spells by night, and my proficiency with the sword qi skill continued to improve. I was close to a breakthrough. Unfortunately, the incense offerings were not plentiful, and it was uncertain how long they would last. Moreover, following this incident, the Xiayun Temple would likely be on guard. Attempting another strike would not be so easy. Speaking of which, Chun Sansi couldn't help but recall what Ningxiang had said. Trouble is brewing in the capital city. Does the incense god sect dare cause chaos in the capital city? Damn! Chun Sansi thought that he might soon be summoned to the capital city. He hoped it wouldn't coincide with any such disturbances. But upon further contemplation, he felt that it might be an unnecessary worry. The court alone boasted 8 martial saints, 8 generals, with 2 presently stationed in the capital. This was without taking into account the eunuchs within the imperial palace. Those eunuchs were not to be underestimated. Selected from the depths of the imperial palace and granted resources, each possessed a superior constitution. Plus, there was Emperor Longqing, whose strength was a mystery. For the incense god sect to stir trouble in the capital city would likely not be easy. Before he knew it, another night had passed. Almost at the 3rd watch of the night, Chun Sansi finally lay down to rest. When he woke up the next morning, he saw Si Kinmohua busily attending the household, either changing diapers or cooking for his wife. Chun Yunxi was sitting at the stone table in the courtyard, reading and learning characters. Indeed, it felt like a lively family home. How's it going? Chun Sansi sat down beside his daughter. How many characters can Yunxi recognize now? Are you happy staying at the governor mansion? Has anyone bullied you? Chun Yunxi shook her head. Pretty uncle teacher buys me candied hawthorn sticks every day. He said he'll make me a floral dress in a few days. The brothers and sisters there like to play with me too. And there's a teacher who teaches me characters. Mr. Zhuang was once a scholarly gentleman. Chun Sansi said. He disdained the court's ethos and chose to teach privately in the governor mansion. He's impressive, you should learn well from him. But Daddy, I wasn't talking about Mr. Zhuang. Chun Yunqi shook her head. I was talking about another teacher. Another teacher? Chun Sansi asked. Mr. Li. Chun Yunqi shook her head again. A young teacher. Chun Sansi had been to the governor mansion often, but he had never seen a young teacher in the private school. He asked, Are you sure he's from the governor mansion? Yes. Chun Yunqi nodded. He also asked Yunqi what I want to do when I grow up. What did you say? I said, I want to help Daddy. What could you help me with? I don't know. Chun Sansi did not dwell on it much. Having a young man of talent in the governor mansion was, after all, quite normal. After patting his daughter's head, he set out for the military camp. Now that he had some downtime, he planned to learn about the power-quenching medicine to see its effects and potentially improve some proficiency. If possible, it would be great to enhance the strengths of his brothers in arms. Zhao Kong and the others were all commendable, but their realms were lacking. Beyond that, Ji and others had gradually returned. Zhao Wuji was also alive, albeit in a sorry state. His entire army was lost, leaving him the sole survivor to escape on horseback, narrowly sparing his life. Ji and his peers were likewise rewarded for their merits. Moreover, it was heard that the East was also embroiled in war, which only began recently. Calculating the time, it coincided with the collapse of Ming State. The moment Dashing began experiencing internal strife, Dongqing country seized the opportunity for a swift attack. Yet just as they made their move, the 4 crossings of Hongzhe concluded. Dongqing country was caught off guard, finding themselves compelled to proceed with the attack, left with no choice but to continue fighting reluctantly. All of this they had only just learned. Between Dongqing country and the Great Qing dynasty, there was no great wall to separate their borders. Trades were common, and many merchants settled their families on both sides. It seemed without significant discord, but in truth, the grudges between the two nations ran deep. The westernmost part of the 8 states in Dongqing was once the territory of the Great Shang dynasty. When the Shang dynasty was founded, Grand Ancestor Chao Xie was enshrined and crowned emperor on Ziwei Mountain within Dongqing. However, during Emperor Qing's reign, they suffered simultaneous attacks on all sides. Dongqing managed to bite off a piece of territory and then agreed to aid Shang against Baimen and Nansu, with the provision that the 8 states' land be permanently conceded to Dongqing. Thereafter, Dongqing steadily secured its foothold in the 8 states and grew in power. At that time, it was a period of prosperity for the Shang dynasty, and the loss of so much territory, including the Imperial Temple and Ziwei Mountain, dealt a heavy blow. From then on, the Shang dynasty began its decline. The people of Shang, from the rulers to the commoners, all felt an immense shame, and the incident became known as the disgrace of Emperor Qing. Subsequent emperors of Shang set the recapture of the eastern 8 states as their highest goal, though none succeeded. Now, despite being beleaguered from all sides, the dynasty's survival was thanks to its numerous valiant warriors and large population. Mr. Ho revealed that the reason the emperor did not summon him to the capital was to wait until the conflict in the east concluded, so that all the heroes could be gathered together for a grand bestowal of honors. Moreover, the current situation was highly favorable. Recapturing the entire 8 states was unlikely, but there was a real possibility of reclaiming Ziwei Mountain. If so, performing ancestral rites on Ziwei Mountain before bestowing honors would be a tremendous honor for both the imperial family and the servants. The state guardian soared. After roll call in the military camp, the morning was still devoted to routine drills. Chun Sansi, though titled assistant general, found that his reserve camp, having returned from Ming State, was reduced to just over 1,000 men, and further personnel expansion would have to wait until the enlargement of the forces was complete. Chapter 264 Hua Jin Great Success, The Battle Resumes _3. Moreover, this military expansion will be quite special. According to the current information, 4 large camps will be expanded. Each regular camp has 4 sections: front, back, left, and right, with 4,000 people each. making 16,000 people per camp. Adding up 4 camps makes 64,000 people, and furthermore, during the Ming State campaign, both the Skywolf camp and the Cloud camp suffered heavy losses and need personnel replenishment. For the time being, it's simply impossible to gather so many people. If one wants to quickly build up combat power, the best method is to transfer people from the surrounding garrisons over, which also requires meticulous calculations to prevent creating too large a deficit all at once, leading to the problem of robbing Peter to pay Paul. Zhang Tailing. Chen Sansi came to the pharmacy, cupped his fists and said, "Thank you for your troubles. It's no bother. I was just about to concoct a furnace of medicine, but..." Zhang Tailing looked Chen up and down. "Mr. Chen has come to learn power-quenching medicine. Could it be that you have already achieved small achievement or even great success in Huajin?" Chen Sansi didn't deny it. "That was so quick," Zhang Tailing said incredulously. "Your cultivation speed is faster than even General Liu, and from what we see now, perhaps only Lord Governor when he was young, and the third young master from back then could compare." "I wouldn't dare to compare with master and third brother," Chen Sansi said. "It's only because of the help of treasure medicine that I've barely caught up. I'm still far from being close." "Mr. Chen, you're being overly modest. All right, let's start." Zhang Tailing sat down in front of the furnace. "I will demonstrate 3 times. Please watch closely, Mr. Chen." Buzz. As he spoke, he began to channel the power within his body and enhance it in his palms, then transferring it through the specially made mystic iron furnace to the contents inside. Under the dual strengthening of fierce flames and power, the medicine's toxicity was refined, and the essence of the herbal ingredients was extracted. Alchemists in the world and the level of power-quenching medicine can generally be divided into 3 tiers. If one can't even produce outer strength, then that's the lowest tier. Second-tier alchemists can concoct supplemental medicine that can remove 60% of toxicity, leaving 40%. First-tier alchemists leave behind 20 to 30%. The top alchemists in the world are those who leave behind only 10%. These experts are basically all within the Imperial Hospital, and the treasure medicines Mr. Chen usually takes are from their hands. I am untalented, having taken a liking to medical practice since childhood. Later, when I learned that alchemy also needed power, I learned martial arts halfway through. Now, after cultivating daily for a major part of my life, I am but a first-tier alchemist, still far from becoming a top alchemist. The Imperial Hospital, Chen Sansi suddenly thought. If it was true that the medical officers of the Imperial Hospital were experts above the level of Huajin, wouldn't they be a terrifying force in critical moments? Are they physicians? Watch closely. Bang! Buzz! Zhang Tailing's movements were dazzling, appearing to be a separate cultivation technique. But in fact, that wasn't the case. He was purely using power, not any cultivation technique. The greatest difficulty lay in the amount of force used, the timing, and the coordination with the heat, and then the concoction of each type of supplemental medicine required a new adjustment. Thus, it was a task of technical skill and a test of endurance. "Zhang Tailing, you are..." Chen Sansi looked at the other's muscles. "Vajra body?" "Exactly." Zhang Tailing's movements didn't stop. "The Vajra force cultivated from the Vajra body is actually not suitable for medical practice. Otherwise, I might well have become an alchemy master." Soon, he completed the demonstration 3 times. A furnace of precious supplemental medicine for the refining internal realm of the 8 camps was produced. Then, Zhang Tailing also demonstrated another set of supplemental medicine for each realm 3 times. "Mr. Chan, it would be good if you have the heart to learn and the spare time to concoct medicines." Zhang Tailing sighed. After all, power-quenching medicine has its threshold, and there are only a few of us old guys in the pharmacy who can do it. With so many people in the troop, how can I keep up? Even if it's not complete, the elite camp still has tens of thousands of people. Chen Sansi estimated that in the pharmacy, there were only about 4 to 5 people who understood power-quenching medicine. Therefore, these medicinal materials were essentially prepared for military officers above the refining internal realm. There were also many supplemental medicines for ordinary military officers, but those were concocted by ordinary people like Medical Officer Jiang and his team, with less effective results. Of course, this was all relative. Compared to Payang County, the resources here could already be considered at the Cave Heaven Blessed Land level. After learning power-quenching medicine, Chun Sansi decided to practice and just happened to concoct medicine for his subordinates, both improving his proficiency in medical skill and enhancing his subordinate strength, killing two birds with one stone. Having watched Jiang Tailing's demonstration, with the effects of Qilin's heart combined with photographic memory, he firmly etched the method of concocting each type of supplemental medicine in his mind. Next, Chun Sansi took a room in the pharmacy as his future alchemy room and immediately began to practice power-quenching medicine. Once he started, it was not as difficult as he had imagined. Moreover, his true dragon strength seemed to be of great help to the concoction of medicine. It seemed that the purer the power, the better the effect of the medicine. But how many people in the world with the body of martial saint would be willing to become an alchemist? Hence, this led to the scarcity of alchemy masters. After practicing for several days, Chun Sansi mastered the process of concocting several kinds of supplemental medicine and then invited Jiang Tailing for evaluation. So soon, Jiang Tailing picked up a porcelain bowl, took a small sip at the edge of his lips. As the medicinal soup went down, shock appeared on his face, and his eyes widened. "Mr. Chun, how did you manage to reach the level of a second-tier alchemist in just a few days?" Chapter 265 Hua Jin Great Success The Battle Resumes _4. Really? Is it true? The other alchemists who had come to join the fun also tasted it, then revealed the same expression. "I've always said, those with the body of a martial saint are naturally born to be alchemists. I'm so envious. Disperse, disperse. Go back and cultivate diligently. If in the future you can reach the profound image realm and use Gang Qi to refine medicine, you still have a chance to break into the realm of an alchemy master." "Sir, this is..." Zhao Kong and the others were called over to look at the medicine furnace in front of them. "I will often take time out to brew medicine for you." Chun Sansi personally served them the medicine soup. "If we can hunt more exotic beasts on the mountain later on, I will share some with you too. Cultivate well and strive to have several breakthroughs in refining internal organs, and maybe 1 or 2 advancements in Hua Jin this year." "Thank you, sir." Zhao Kong bowed with clasped fists. "We will not let you down, sir." Feng Yong downed the medicine soup in one gulp. "Sir, the medicine you brew is almost comparable to that of a pharmacist, which we usually have to queue for, yet you can brew it yourself." That's what Chun Sansi said. But in reality, he knew that at most only one person might advance to Hua Jin, though there was still Bai Thingji, Lu Shuhua, and a few other geniuses available. But even if these people were willing to follow him now, once the expansion was complete and duties were assigned, they would surely be divided. How could several with the body of a martial saint be under the command of one person? So in the end, he had to rely on his old brothers. If physical talent was lacking, then medicinal herbs must compensate. Skill, medical skill. Proficient, master. Progress. 895/1000. The recent increase in proficiency was mainly from using power-quenching medicine, the effects of which he did not know yet until reaching small achievement. After finishing with the medicinal ingredients, Chun Sansi then took his bow and arrows to the archery field for practice. Skill. Archery. Great success. Progress. 1550/2000. The breakthrough in archery skills was also not very far away. Furthermore, it's worth mentioning that Sun Buki has been frequently practicing archery with him recently. His level had finally improved. Holding a 15-stone bow in his hands, he could basically hit targets within a 70 to 80 steps. After the morning training session ended, in the afternoon, Chun Sansi led a team to patrol the city. Passing by a martial arts training ground nearby, he saw Chao Fan, who seemed to have broken through to the mastery of the Huajing technique. Seeing this person, Chun Sansi's mind involuntarily recalled the events of several nights ago. The incense god sect, was it just going to be left at that? He heard that the elder from Xiayun Temple had arrived in Liangzhou, and perhaps he could meet him during the routine inspections in the afternoon to see what he was really about. Huff, huff. Chow Fan put down the azure dragon crescent blade. His face was blood red, which also revealed an unnatural paleness. Congratulations, young master, on your breakthrough. The sparring partner, Sha Wenlong, put down his blade. If I'm not mistaken, Lu Shuhua and the others at most have only reached the entry level of the Hua Jing technique. Xie Sishu and Yen Chongqing are still in the refining internal organs perfection stage. The young master has already surpassed them by 2 whole levels. What about Chun Sansi? Chow Fan, coughing, inquired. Has he also achieved Hua Jing? Otherwise, how could he have possibly gone to Meishan Prefecture in the first place? This. Sha Wenlong hesitated and then answered. He indeed has achieved Hua Jing. Entry level? No, that's not right. Chow Fan furrowed his brow. It must be mastery, right? His heart was full of mixed feelings. Since the end of the selected point to maintain his dominance in realm, he had not hesitated to sacrifice his lifespan by cultivating an extremely fierce cultivation technique to rapidly increase his strength, but now it had come to this. The honor was the others, and in realms he probably had caught up and evened out. Young master. Sha Wenlong did not reply. Chow Fan's face stiffened, pressing further. What does that mean? He has not only just reached it. Young master, it doesn't matter. Sha Wenlong redirected the topic. If it really doesn't work out, we can return to the capital city. The rebels in the south and Dongxing country in the east both present opportunities to establish military exploits. There's no need to remain in the northern territory. Eunuch Feng. Seeing him unwilling to speak, Chow Fan turned to his close companion. Tell me the truth. Hasn't he broken through to small achievement? Young master, please brace yourself. Eunuch Feng said with a bitter smile. A few hours ago, I heard people in the pharmacy discussing that he seems to have reached small achievement in Hua Jing, or maybe even great success. Boo! Chow Fan felt something choking in his chest. His vision darkened as the world spun, and he fell backward, even spewing a mouthful of fresh blood. Young master! Sha Wenlong hurriedly supported him. Oh dear, young master! Eunuch Feng was so anxious that he even started to cry, while he used a handkerchief to wipe the blood and searched his body for healing treasure medicine. The very path of cultivation that the young master had chosen was already damaging to the body, and now compounded with the suffocating distress, both effects together had made him simply unable to cope, resulting in a collapse. Why? After a while, Chow Fan finally reopened his eyes. He's only been practicing martial arts for 2 years. How can the heavens be so unfair? I only sleep 2 hours a day, maintaining my energy through medicinal herbs. Is that still not enough? Am I not trying hard enough? Young master, Sha Wenlong said helplessly. This person is a demon, and the talents he has shown in various aspects are no less than those of Sun Xiangzong back then. Comparing yourself with him is truly unnecessary. Right, young master? Eunuch Feng agreed. You are a noble of the imperial family. Why bother competing with a commoner for a moment of bravery? No matter how strong he is, what does it matter? Supervisor Sun is considered the most accomplished martial artist under the heavens, and yet he is still a subject of the Chow family. Ah!
Cao Fang Stugalao Tobrit.
The problem was, Chapter 266 Hua Jin Great Success, the battle resumes _5. He was not the only heir. He was merely the highest in the line of succession officially. If he himself lacked outstanding achievements and extraordinary talents, he could be replaced by other brothers at any time. This point, it wasn't just him. Even his father, the king, was no exception. The crown prince had been the supervisor for 40 years, and wasn't it also a daily depletion of spirit and health? Which of his uncles wasn't secretly eyeing the position of the crown prince? Chow Fan had seen his father handling official duties until the early hours countless times, and on ordinary days, he had to deal with the overt and covert attacks from various forces, his health deteriorating day by day, especially after 10 days in Yunzhou. A very significant change had occurred in the court. Grandpa, who had been obsessed with cultivating the immortal path since 20 years ago, began significantly reducing the number of his closed-door cultivations, and spent more time handling state affairs, seemingly ready to reorganize the realm. The problem was, his father had been the supervisor for 40 years. His influence spread throughout the court and fields. Chao Fan, who had been well-versed in history since childhood, naturally knew that there would be a bloody storm in the court. What was even more frightening was that Grandpa's health was said to be improving day by day. Considering his age, Grandpa was 98 this year, a centenarian. In contrast, his father, after 40 years as supervisor, was already exhausted. To put it unpleasantly, it was uncertain who would outlast whom. Chao Fan had thought if he could achieve something in the Northern Territory, he would lay a foundation for himself while also relieving his father of some worries. But unfortunately, Chun Sansi had appeared. For decades, when had such a monster ever appeared in the entire world? It's just not fair. Not fair at all. Eunuch Feng. Let's go. Back to the capital city. Ultimately, Chao Fan said in a hoarse voice, let him stay here. In the future, let him compete with the martial saint in G. The princely heir can't compete anymore. Okay. Eunuch Feng said while wiping his tears. This wretched place, we're not staying here anymore. There's nothing good here. Chao Fan's gaze was somewhat empty. First, let's go back to the capital city to see my father, see if he needs me to go to Dongqing, or stay in the court to assist. I'll write the resignation as soon as we get back. Eunuch Feng choked up. Let's first recuperate in Liangzhou. We won't practice the fierce saber technique anymore. Just the normal saber technique. Your health can't collapse. We're going home. Chiyun Temple. Routine inspection. Chun Sansi and Li Qianzong, leading 20 or 30 people, ascended Spirit Mist Mountain. At the mountain gate, an old Taoist who seemed to be aged around 60 came out to greet them. I am Xiao Yunzi, the new temple master of Ci Yun Temple. May I know what exactly the lords wish to inspect? What else could it be? Li Qianzong did not give a pleasant look. Move aside. Don't be too excessive. By the old Taoist's side, another comparatively younger middle-aged Taoist spoke indignantly. Isn't it enough that you forced 2 of my nephews to death? What more do you want? It wasn't just him. The other Taoists from Ci Yun Temple who were watching from a distance also cast resentful glances. This was the current situation in Liangzhou. Many sects were displeased with the actions of the Liangzhou army. Some suspected that the Liangzhou army was being perfunctory, hence their prolonged inability to find the person. Some simply said that it was Liangzhou itself who had done it, and that there was no such thing as the witch god sect in the world. Enough talk. Li Qianzong was not intimidated and scolded. We've come to help you figure out why Qiu Mingzi and the other guy committed suicide. Move it. You. The middle-aged Taoist wanted to talk, but Xiao Yunzi interrupted. Junior brother. Let the lords come in to investigate. Search. Li Qianzong waved his hand. Chun Sansi and the others immediately went in. After making a couple of rounds, he arrived at the grand hall and noticed that the incense burner was replaced. It was no longer the previous one that could plunder incense, but a common incense burner. Ci Yun Temple's newly arrived Xiao Yunzi and the middle-aged Taoist were indeed from the Incense Fire Divine sect. Because Chun Sansi saw the purple incense mystical energy stored in their dantians. Incense Fire Divine Tao. The function of the Qi observation skill was similar to X-ray. These people's secrets were laid bare before him. He also indirectly inquired with Ningxiang, asking if they could detect others cultivating spells or following the immortal path. The answer was no, unless someone specifically cultivated the detecting skill or the immortal realm way was extremely high. Otherwise, it was impossible to see through other secrets with the naked eye. One could only feel it through physical contact or after a fight. And changing magic skills often required manipulating the mystical energy within one's body. This point was observable from the patterns seen through the sword chi skill and Ningxiang's charming technique. The purple incense inside Xiao Yunzi and his companion remained dormant without any sign of manipulation, indicating that they also didn't possess the detecting magic skills. What Chun Sansi found interesting was, there were masters inside Ci Yun Temple. They were two Taoists who looked only 15 or 16 years old. But based on the energy hidden within them, they were probably also experts in the meridian passage method. These two persons he had seen before. Chun Sansi had a photographic memory, basically remembering every face in Ci Yun Temple. When he last saw these two young Taoists, they were just introducing blood refining. How could they have progressed directly to meridian passage in less than a year? It looked like they were replaced. As for why they looked the same, he guessed that most likely they used some disguise technique. The seemingly modest Ci Yun Temple turned out to be teeming with hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Not only that, while Xiao Yunzi and the others did not notice him, it was these two who were covertly observing him, unsure of their origins, but it was certain that they were tied to the two Taoists who died in the dungeon. Chapter 267 Hua Jin Great Success. War Resurges _6. Qiu Mingzi had his eye on him while alive. He might have leaked the news to these two people.
Which god sect?
Until now, Chun Sansi had not figured out what exactly was added to the nourishing spirit soup, and whether the incense and nourishing spirit soup were two separate acts by different groups of people. It's also possible that Qiu Mingzi and his group were double agents, openly followers of the incense fire divine sect, but secretly colluding with other forces. This trip today proved worthwhile. At least he knew who was watching him and could always be on guard, not completely in the dark until danger came knocking. Now he was the proactive one. However, it seemed he still needed to enhance his power swiftly. Hua Jin was far from enough, and the materials for the bow needed to be gathered quickly. By hunting down the fierce monster and finding Ghost Vein would, theoretically, it should be possible to assemble a 100-stone bow carrying true dragon strength. Sir, I didn't find anything. I haven't got much here either. Soon, a round of searches was completed. Yun Xiaozi. Li Qianzong spoke emotionlessly. If you find anything unusual, please make sure to inform us. Certainly, certainly. Yun Xiaozi performed a Taoist bow with clasped hands. Then I'll kindly see off the two officials. Squad leader. The middle-aged Taoist said in a low voice, I've inquired about the news. It was not the princely heir's doing. He knows nothing about our divine sect. Just as I expected. Yun Xiaozi's gaze darkened. Yet someone has to cause trouble at this critical juncture, and it's troubling that there's no way to start the investigation. Moreover, this person has managed to absorb such a large amount of incense in such a short time. The background mustn't be small. Then, squad leader, shall we continue the investigation? No, let's stop. Missing the incense from one incense burner doesn't make much difference. What about the witch god sect? Are we going to drop that too? I heard that Qiu Mingzi and his group had constantly been organizing sermons. Not sure what their purpose was. No, we'll leave that for later. Our immediate task is to handle the matters in Capital City. We'll be leaving in a few days. Yes, squad leader, I understand. Following me? Chun Sansi noticed movement behind him. It was two young Taoists from Ci Yun Temple. But they did not follow all the way, retreating as they neared Qin Mansion, clearly unwilling to take action within the city. It's several days' journey to the mountain, and I really can't rest easy leaving the whole family in the mansion. Fortunately, Senior Sister Nine wrote that the Yen State Army's affairs have been settled, and she will soon return to Liangzhou. It would be perfect to ask her to be the bodyguard. Master! Daddy! Godfather! As Chun Sansi entered, the courtyard burst into lively scenes. Si Qinmohua goes without saying. The Sun Li siblings were also there, then Chen Yunqi and finally Tong family holding a child. Yu Huan is here. Come. Let Godfather hold you. Chun Sansi picked up the roughly 1-year-old girl whose first word after learning to speak was actually Godfather, making it unclear how the Tong family had taught her. In the evening, a large table full of people and food. After the lively meal, they simply stayed overnight in the forecourt chambers, as it was all women and there was nothing inconvenient about it. This spared Chun Sansi the trouble of fussing over the child, allowing him to focus on cultivating in the backyard.
Méridien Passage Rilm.
As the name implies, it involves opening up the body's acupoints, storing strength in the meridians like blood flowing in blood vessels, without having to induce it with qi blood after moving as in the Huajing realm. Also, it is critical for laying the foundation for the profound image realm, as only meridians tempered by strength are likely to generate gang qi, thereby stepping into the profound image realm. The pile work of the meridian passage realm is very complex, and the breathing skill had changed from the Howren breathing skill to the Asking Dao breathing skill. Of course, for Chun Sansi, these things were hardly obstacles. In just 2 days, he had committed the meridian passage method to memory.
Cultivation technique, national gardien dragon spire. Méridien passage, une initiated.
Progress. 5 out of 100. His master's handwritten notes stated that not only should he practice spear technique, but also every other cultivation technique given to him previously up to the meridian passage, for countless future benefits. Sword, spear, saber, and halberd. Axe, hook, trident, and fork. Basically, every type of weapon was included. Chun Sansi spent 5 days bringing the Jinhua swordsmanship, which he used frequently, to Huajing perfection. He would have to find time for the rest. After martial arts, he had to cultivate spells. He sat cross-legged, holding a xianzhu in his hand, absorbing the incense mystical energy contained within. After circulating through the meridians inside his body and congregating at the fingertips through a special circulation, he was 1 step away from breakthrough mastery. Unlike the inevitable pain of cultivating martial arts, cultivating spells was an indescribable experience. Without any pain or itch, his right hand, which was forming seals, simply couldn't stop trembling. The small sword phantom above his fingertips kept dispersing and then reforming in a continuous cycle, consuming the incense at a rapid pace within the xianzhu until he fully grasped its profound technique, marking his great achievement. Buzz! Purple small sword floated in the void. Sized like a miniature pendant rather than the embroidery needle size it was upon initiation, it appeared much sturdier and not nearly as much a mere phantom as before. Magic skill. Sword Chi skill mastery. Progress. 0/1000. Utility. Cutting strength breaking gang. Cutting strength breaking gang? Chun Sansi, contemplating the effect term, fell into a deep thought. He had never exchanged hands with a martial artist in the profound image realm, unsure of what strength gang chi really held and what extent sword chi skill could counter gang chi. Just based on feeling profound image realm initiation? Uncertain. This wasn't something he could test. When Senior Sister 9 returned, he could use sparring as a pretext to experience gang chi and then have a clear idea. If he remembered correctly, Sha Wenlong was transferred from another state with not a high realm, merely at the initiation of profound image realm cultivation technique. Thinking thus, Chun Sansi dissipated the sword chi from his fingertips. Not having entered the divine Tao, he couldn't store incense in his dantian, and each accumulation could only be used once, after which he had to accumulate again. It was an unavoidable situation. Not to mention the lack of a cultivation technique for the incense fire divine Tao. Even if there were one, he dared not practice it casually, unknown what kind of price he needed to pay. Especially since the incense was not his but stolen, it seemed unreliable to think about it. He would rather follow the orthodox initiation methods of his own master upon reaching a certain realm. Incense and sword chi skill, considering them as his current trump cards. Chapter 268. Archery perfection unavoidable. The stages in developing martial arts and spells had been achieved. Next, it was time to go hunting in the mountains. I have already written Vice Admiral Yu's petition, and it was sent via the 6,000 Li Divine Eagle Express from the Ministry of Communication, so it should arrive soon. I wonder if the Emperor will grant Vice Admiral Yu a proper recognition after reading the petition. In addition, I've also included Su Wensai's contributions. After the pacification of Ming State, those who returned alive from the reserve camp received extensive rewards. Since Su Wenkai had no cultivation and was not even a military soldier, and only received some gold and silver, it was rather unfair. The old scholar's dream was to be granted a genuine Wulong title. However, with Fang Qingyun's outstanding reputation setting a precedent, such an equivalent title seemed difficult to obtain, but achieving a military or scholarly medal would be good too. One could only try one's best. Moreover, there was noteworthy news from the capital city. Just before they went to war, there was a new top scholar in the imperial examinations, his old acquaintance Tang Inca. Unexpectedly, that youngster really passed when he said he would take the exam. He truly had some ink in his belly. Capital city. Longevity Palace. All members of the cabinet gathered here. Joyous news. Since the war began with Dongqing country, Marquis of Inong Meng Qiuji has rapidly captured the lands of 8 prefectures in just 2 months, now advancing deep into Lai state, with victories one after another, an unstoppable momentum. In desperation, Dongqing sect sent Prince Tang with 100,000 troops to station in Tongzhou. If Prince Tang of Dongqing is defeated next, we could recapture the territories of Lai, Tong, and Ling states in one fell swoop, which includes the fertile lands of 2 states and Ziwei Mountain. Excellent. Whatever Meng Qiuji needs, fulfill it, gather grain if he lacks grain, allocate funds if he needs funds. As long as he retakes the 3 states, I shall promote him to state duke. Emperor Longqing was greatly pleased. After the discussions concluded, he changed the subject. By the way, regarding Chen Sanxi's rewards, what suggestions do all my ministers have? Feel free to share. Yan Liang, Yan Maoxing, you father and son go first. In reply to your majesty, Yan Liang, sitting on a small stool, leisurely responded, Mr. Chen is too young, and his official rank is limited by his martial arts realm, so your majesty's grace can only be bestowed through a medal. Furthermore, after ferrying civilians across the river, Mr. Chen had already been conferred the 3rd rank title of Upper Guard, and now he has achieved such remarkable deeds in Ming State. Theoretically, he should directly skip the 2nd rank, being directly appointed to the standard 2nd rank Upper Guard. Additionally, he already possesses the best martial arts resources, so we can only reward him with some more gold and silver. Your Majesty, I agree. Yan Maoxing bowed deeply. An 18-year-old standard 2nd rank protector is extremely rare in our dynasty. The Minister of War, Gao Bo, concurred. I second the motion. Too low. Emperor Longqing interrupted. I plan to directly grant him the title of standard 1st rank Upper Pillar country. What do you think? A murmur of astonishment. Your Majesty, isn't that a bit too high? Yan Liang hesitated. He is only 18 and has only been serving in the army for just 2 years. Isn't this promotion too rapid? Yes, Your Majesty. Gao Bo spoke solemnly. If such heavy awards are granted at such a young age, he might become arrogant. Perhaps start with 2nd rank protector, and then elevate to Upper Pillar country in 3 to 5 years. I think nothing is inappropriate. The Minister of Rights, the father of Tang Inca, Tang Ran, spoke up. General Chen crossed Hengze River 4 times, and his tactics are now included in the military family's art of war. If not for his extraordinary achievements, the insurrection in Ming State wouldn't have been quelled in such a short time. Mr. Tang, public matters are public, and personal matters are personal. The Minister of Revenue hinted something cryptically but did not elaborate. Back when a signed point happened, they had heard about it. It was said that Chen Sanxi harshly killed Wen Shosher to avenge Tang Ran's son, Tang Inca. But the occasion was different, and many statements needed to be nuanced. Not like in Liangzhou with Governor Liu and others, who directly argued with Mr. Ho. I am discussing public affairs. Tang Ran firmly stated, Your Majesty's decision is extremely wise. Upper Pillar country is indeed appropriate. Crown Prince. Emperor Longqing drawled. What do you think? Father's imperial decision. Why should your son interject? The Crown Prince, sitting on a stool, expressed his agreement. Officials below continued discussing. He is too young. Yes. Even son Xiangzong at this time hadn't made a splash yet. What if he achieves more in the future? Wouldn't he be made an earl by the age of 20? According to the merit system of the Great Sheng dynasty, beyond the 1st rank merit, the ranks ascended to superordinate ranks of earl, marquis, duke, and prince, each progressively scarcer, with only the Chao family eligible to be princes. Currently, there were merely 2 or 3 state dukes, marquises were also scarce, earls existed in some number, but they were veterans, hence a first-rank upper pillar country appeared very prominent, essentially at an equal status with many veteran old ministers. Who lets my favorite general be only 18 years old? Emperor Longqing took out several golden pages from his wide-sleeved Taoist robe and raised them high for everyone to see. Do you see what this is? Heavenly Book. Dong'an did not hesitate to betray me, betray the great Shang, and rebelled just to obtain the Miracle Soldier's Heavenly Book. But Chun Sansi, after obtaining it, showed no greed and immediately submitted it to the court, without any deceit or falsification. Such a loyal and good minister, can he not bear a first-rank title of upper pillar country? I intend to show the people of the world, letting him set an example for the young talents across the land. Chapter 269, Archery Perfection, Unavoidable _2. Many ministers fell silent. Your Majesty speaks wisely, but... After a long pause, Yan Liang said hoarsely, Your Majesty, becoming upper pillar country does have strict requirements, at least one act of heavenly merit, in addition to numerous class and military achievements. Mr. Chun has secured heavenly merit, but the number of class and military achievements is insufficient. That's easy to fix. Emperor Longqing, reclining in his dragon chair, spoke unhurriedly. Soon, I will send him to the eastern battlefield and give him another chance to distinguish himself. The East. Minister of War Gao Bo mused. Your Majesty, Liangzhou is in the far west. To transfer troops from there to Lai State might be too distant. The cost of moving troops might be a bit too high. I had no plans to transfer troops from Liangzhou. Emperor Longqing pondered. Just draw 3,000 black armor troops from the personal guard camps around the capital. A capable general should have forces at his command, should he not? Your Majesty is wise. Very well, you all may leave, except for the Crown Prince and Fang Qingyun. The vast hall quickly emptied until only a few individuals remained. Crown Prince, Emperor Longqing, his calm voice laced with authority, asked, Tell me, why did that Shah Wunlong refuse to heed Chun San's advice and cross the entire army over the Hengze River to the east? As a general, one must prioritize stability. The Crown Prince contemplated. Had the entire army crossed and encountered blockades, it could have led to irreversible consequences. So you say, should I reward them instead? Emperor Longqing did not pursue further, shifting his tone. Fang Qingyun, why are you silent? What is your opinion on the matter of upper pillar country? I too find it somewhat inappropriate. Seated in his wheelchair, Fang Qingyun replied at a measured pace. He is, after all, still too young. The prestige that comes with the title of upper pillar country might be too high for him. Emperor Longqing's mouth twitched imperceptibly, touching on the point briefly before changing the subject again. Chun San had written a petition to me, mentioning a man named Su Wenkai, hoping that I would bestow some form of recognition. What do you know of him, Fang Aiqing? Mr. Su is a talent of the highest caliber, surpassing me in every aspect. Had he not come from humble origins, he would have become a prominent scholarly general by now. Fang Qingyun answered, having been by Chun San's side, he must have also contributed significantly during the 4 crossings of Hengze. He indeed deserves recognition. Even you say so. It seems we have another talent at hand. Emperor Longqing mused. He hopes that I grant Su Wenkai an official title, but how come I've heard that Mr. Su's greatest aspiration in life is to be honored with the title Wulong? Why didn't Chun San tell me directly? Is he worried that I, being stingy, would not be willing to bestow it? Your Majesty knows all. Fang Qingyun spoke calmly. Mr. Su certainly is fixated on receiving a title. Emperor Longqing spoke with a tinge of meaning. Wulong, that title is on the same level as your phoenix. Do you object? My nickname was originally just a rumor in Jianghu. However, it simply became reality as it spread. Mr. Su is not less than me. Why should there be an issue? Fang Qingyun said. The only concern is the corresponding pressure it brings. I wonder if he can withstand it. Under pressure? Only with pressure can potential be inspired. I specifically want to bestow upon him the title of Wulongda. Emperor Longqing said, "If memory serves me right, there are still some small factions of the rebel army and bandits along the border of your state. Let the Wulong lead the troops to eliminate them, also giving him an opportunity to independently earn his merits." "That would be excellent," Fang Qingyun said meaningfully. "Your Majesty's arrangements, I'm sure Mr. Su will be deeply grateful. You should also join the upcoming battle in Lai State." Emperor Longqing rose slowly, passing the heavenly book over. "Take this as well." "Why would your Majesty do this?" Fang Qingyun did not accept it. "This is the heavenly book, your servant. What are you pretending for?" Emperor Longqing narrowed his eyes. "I know you can understand it. Memorize it and then return it to the court later. Once you're in the East, if you want to teach it to Chen Sansi, do so. I've approved it." "Your servant obeys." Only then did Fang Qingyun accept the heavenly book. Emperor Longqing left with a sweep of his sleeve, quickly vanishing behind the layers of curtains. Several eunuchs followed closely behind him. In the great hall, soon only the Crown Prince and Fang Qingyun were left.
Top.
The Crown Prince, leaning on a walking stick, stood up, tediously made his way to the scholar, handed over the stick, then, grasping the handles of the wheelchair, pushed him forward. "General Fang, let's go. Allow me to accompany you." At the doorway of the great hall, when the wheelchair proved too heavy to lift, he called over some young eunuchs from outside to help carry it out, and then continued pushing it forward at a leisurely pace. A gust of autumn wind blew through, causing both men to start coughing. "General Fang, you must take care of your health. Your Highness should be more careful. You really should not push me anymore. I can manage on my own." No matter. It is not often that you and I get to be together. To walk and talk together is fitting." Silence. Having left the Longevity Palace and reached the outer perimeter of the Imperial Palace, Fang Qingyun took the heavenly book from his bosom and offered it back. "Your Highness, would you like to see it?" Might as well take a look." The Crown Prince paused, flipping through the heavenly book. "I can't understand it. General Fang, after you translate it, please also make a copy for me." "His Majesty is truly generous." Fang Qingyun took back the heavenly book. The contents recorded here are genuine immortal realm formations, to be shared so openly with everyone. "Do you know why they've been so generous with you lately?" The Crown Prince resumed pushing the wheelchair, slightly stooped, almost in the tone of telling a ghost story. "They could agree to the camp expansion and even share the heavenly book with you." Chapter 270. Archery Perfection, Unavoidable_3. Fang Qingyun glanced over his shoulder. "Your Highness, if you have something to say, why beat around the bush? Is Supervisor Sun nearing his end?" It seemed like the Crown Prince wasn't continuing the previous topic. Expanding the troops will certainly strengthen Liangzhou's forces, but it will also mean a lot of new recruits, and quite a multitude at that. The implications of this need not be spelled out too explicitly, right? "General Fang, haven't you ever pondered the future of the 8 camps a few years from now?" "Naturally, we will be at His Majesty's disposal," Fang Qingyun stated matter-of-factly. Again silence. "General Fang." The Crown Prince began again. "Speak your mind. What do you think of this palace? Your Highness has supervised the nation for 40 years, always exhausting your mind and body in diligent service. It's an undeniable and uncontested fact," Fang Qingyun replied, with his body slightly tilted. "But now that His Majesty has ended his seclusion, it's about time you got some well-deserved rest and took care to recuperate," he added, intentionally stressing the latter part of the sentence. The Crown Prince's eyelids twitched uncontrollably. In fact, it is Father Emperor who should be resting at his advanced age. The burden of the great Shang dynasty should be borne by me, his son. Don't you agree, General Fang? Is that so? Fang Qingyun drew out his words. I believe His Majesty is in the prime of life. Yes, in the prime of life, cough, cough, cough. In the prime of life, that's good. I too am glad for Father Emperor. Cough, cough, cough. Fong Qingyun, hearing the voice behind him growing fainter, strained to twist his body for a look, only to see that the person had quietly taken his cane and left, leaving him alone on the wheelchair, at the mercy of the autumn wind and falling leaves. He hurriedly called out, "Your Highness, what do you mean by this? The least you could do is leave me where there are people, Your Highness." From here to where there were people was at least a 5-mile distance. He would have to wheel himself the entire 5 miles. At the Chun Mansion, Senior Sister 9. "Welcome back, home." Chun Sansi gestured invitingly. "I've prepared a room for you in the second yard. As you like. Let me know if there's anything else you need, or if there's anything I can prepare immediately. My family's Shi, Du-hee, and even Yu Huan are very fond of Senior Sister. If you don't mind, you can stay with us when you come back to Liangzhou." "Why are you being so scheming, boy?" Rong Yanqiu, after tying the letter to Hai Dongqing's leg and releasing it, rolled her eyes and said, "You just want me to act as a watchdog and protector for your house, don't you? Dressing it up so nicely. Come give my shoulders a massage, and tell me more about how you came up with the 4 crossings of Hongze River. If I'm pleased, I might agree to be your guard dog." "Why does Senior Sister have to put it that way?" Chun Sansi stepped forward to massage. Not until he had served her satisfaction did he broach the main subject. "Senior Sister 9, could you tell me about the Xuanxiang realm? You want to know about mysterious phenomenon so soon? Could it be that you are about to achieve meridian passage?" Rong Yanqiu was slightly surprised and then explained, "The profound image realm is about transforming strength into Gang Qi, and the entire realm revolves around enhancing the use of Gang Qi. With an entry-level understanding of the cultivation technique, you could think of it as turning the strength wielded in the weapon into Gang Qi. This Gang Qi is more substantial, not only used for offense but also for defense. Once proficient, you can send out Gang Qi, akin to a form of attack from afar, though usually not over great distances. With a small achievement, you can possess protective Gang Qi. As long as you don't exhaust yourself on the battlefield, it's nearly impossible for those below your realm to break through your defenses. Upon reaching great success, you can shape Gang Qi into forms and project it up to 10 feet away from your body, for example. Shwa! She suddenly unleashed a palm strike, and a near-transparent Gang Qi materialized, transforming into the shape of a python and then shooting out explosively, hitting a potted plant in front of her and shattering it into pieces, startling Si Qin who happened to be passing by, almost making her leap into the air in a scream. Even if it was just a demonstration, Chun Sansi felt the terrifying power. He asked, "What about the Gang Qi of a beginner martial artist? Try stabbing me." Rong Yanqiu invited as she sat still, gesturing him over with a beckoning hand. "Senior Sister, no offense." Chun Sansi did not hold back, grabbing the nearby 5 Tigers' soul-breaking spear, stacking various enhancements from within, and finally channeling true dragon strength into the long spear. With a humming sound, he fiercely thrust it forward. Rong Yanqiu stood unflinching, her right hand with faintly purple nails resembling a blooming lotus as it met the thrust. Wrapped in Gang Qi, she incredibly caught the sharp gun blade with her bare hand. The moment she touched the blade, her languid demeanor vanished as she quickly pushed away the spear and, with a swallow's turn, dodged to the side, saying displeasedly, "You have true dragon strength. Why didn't you say so beforehand?" "Senior Sister didn't ask me either," Chun Sansi retorted, shrugging his shoulders to show innocence. "Get out. I'm done playing with you. The nail polish I just applied is split." Rong Yanqiu huffed, rising to enter her room, shutting the door behind her to tend to something. HSS's. Chun Sansi sheathed the long spear and flexed his numbed arm. Even with Senior Sister deliberately restraining her strength to the entry level of the Xuanxiang realm, was the disparity still so vast? The reason Rong Yanqiu dodged earlier was not that she couldn't handle it, but rather because she was indeed caught off guard by the secondary onslaught of the true dragon strength and because she did not want to invest more Gang Qi and risk injuring herself. But Sword Qi skill can. After experiencing it firsthand, Chun Sansi was certain that the Sword Qi skill would have no problem breaking through the Gang Qi of a mysterious phenomenon technique beginner martial artist. Chao Fan, the eunuch, and also Sha Wenlong. These three needed to be dealt with, might as well handle them all together. Chapter 271. Archery Perfection Unavoidable _4. Sha Wanlong could resolve the situation with just one sword chi skill, so all he needed to do next was take care of the personal eunuch. With mastery of Meridian Passage, an individual handpicked from thousands within the imperial palace, even if physically impaired, his constitution was most likely that of a genius, incomparable by the Mingzhou rebel army or the Qimei army, an obvious reason. If it weren't for exceptional talent, why would the imperial palace cultivate him among so many eunuchs? Genie guard, eunuchs. Neither should be underestimated. For safety's sake, expertise in the Meridian Passage method is needed to ensure he could quickly neutralize the target. It's not that entry-level skills couldn't contend, but what Chun Sansi pursued was a swift kill, as becoming entangled in a fierce battle could lead to missed targets and exposure of his identity. The Big Bao needs upgrading. Senior Sister 9 is also staying at home. I can comfortably leave for a few days. Luotian Mountain Range.
Cultivation technique, National Gardien Dragon Spear.
Meridian Passage. Not entered. Progress. 68 out of 100. Inside the cave. Meridian Passage is not far off. After a brief rest, Chun Sansi picked up his long spear and ventured into the forested mountains. After he left, 2 Taoists from Xiayun Temple began to follow him. They were quickly shaken off after leaving the city and failed to pursue him into the Luotian mountain range, eventually giving up. Now it was certain. The ones who had poisoned the nourishing spirit soup were them, and they were not affiliated with the incense god sect. The two groups had completely different objectives, both simply using Xiayun Temple as a cover. The most likely suspects were the people of the witch god sect. Their actions were highly likely centered around the evil Qi deep within the Luotian mountain range, concealing something within. Zhang Huaimin's ascent to prominence outside Dongyi City was vividly remembered to this day. But since that incident, similar cases had ceased to appear. Just constant death. This has brought some second-tier sects within Liangzhou City to the brink of collapse. If this continued, it could force them into rebellion. Now, I have reached Hua Jing perfection. Last time I reached the 8-layered mountain. Let's see how many layers I can reach this time. 2 days and nights of continuous travel later, Chun Sansi returned near the 8-layered mountain, entering the territory of the fierce monster once again. Bang bang. Invisible yet audible. Sounds like rocks clashing. A roar erupted, and a mass of pitch-black evil Qi descended from the sky. Buzz! The 5 tigers' soul-breaking spear turned into a Jiao Long, emerging from the sea at the hum, colliding instantly with the shadow that had almost immediately arrived, causing a piercing metal screeching sound that alarmed the birds nearby. The sharpness of this beast's claws was comparable to metal. In raw strength, it matched a Hua Jing perfection martial artist bolstered by true strength, even slightly stronger due to its animalistic build. However, when they made contact, the continuous killing force on the spear blade was like a stationary weapon encountering a rotating chainsaw, producing a crackling sound as sparks flew. In the end, the fierce monster was outmatched. Its massive body was shot backward by the impact, crashing heavily against a tree trunk. Before it could regain its footing, the silver Jiao Long attacked again. The claws and blade of the poisonous beast clashed repeatedly, until, after several exchanges, a snap was heard. The fierce monster's claws could no longer withstand the bite of true dragon strength and shattered. It completely lost its ability to combat the martial artist, its robust body rapidly riddled with gaping wounds, and it suddenly fell to the ground, lifeless. This beast is much stronger than an ordinary great success martial artist. Although Chun Sansi did not exert much effort, he still had to marvel at the horrors deep within the Luotian mountain range. There must be stronger poisonous beasts or exotic beasts ahead. No wonder only high-realm martial artists could breach it. He pulled out the Jinhua sword, bending down to skin and deb-one the fierce monster. The elasticity and resilience of this poisonous beast's tendons were extremely impressive. Trying to break them with force, he found it difficult to do so in a short amount of time. No wonder its leaps covered tens of meters. appearing almost like flying if viewed from a distance. Using its tendons as the main material for a bowstring could effortlessly pull an iron core bow of 100 stones. The meat of the poisonous beast was inedible. Its bones were hard but not as useful as black iron, of little value to him now. He was going to keep moving forward, so he just collected the tendons and left the carcass behind. Juzhong Mountain. Chun Sansi continued to explore further while searching for the items he wanted. Ghost vein wood and broken grass. The former was material for arrow shafts. With it, he could assemble a complete big bow carrying true dragon strength. The latter was part of the trade promised to Miss Ningxiang. Hiss! With one sword strike, Chun Sansi chopped off the head of an unknown poisonous beast, crossing another valley and entering the 10 Layers Mountain. The vegetation became denser, and upon his arrival, he saw swarms of poisonous insects writhing towards him, those closest eagerly anticipating fresh flesh. There's miasma too. He was prepared. Taking a medicine pill from his robe, he swallowed it and accelerated his pace. The chi between heaven and earth is changing. Chun Sansi noticed that amid the chaotic chi of the world, threads of dark black evil chi began to mix, albeit very thinly, so sparse that even he had to observe carefully to detect it. Inside this mountain. Chapter 272. Archery Perfection, Unavoidable _5. Perhaps there really are traces of immortals. Forget it. Those are too far off. Let's find the ghost vein wood first. Ghost vein wood usually grows in dark places teeming with miasma and is accompanied by many poisonous insects. Hence, the tree itself is toxic. After it is used to revive a dying person one last time, the user often dies a gruesome death and must endure extreme pain. It's mentioned in the 100 Herbs map. The imperial family of the former Great Dian had once employed this substance. Because the old emperor had not made clear whether the 2nd or 12th prince should succeed him, the princes had used ghost vein wood on him, forcing him back to life to make his decision clear, then dying in torment. There really is one. Chun Sansi quickly found his target in the woods ahead. The Luotian mountain range is truly rich in resources. The growth of ghost vein wood is extremely slow. The one he found was only as thick as a baby's fist and a little over a person's height. It would yield only a few dozen arrow shafts at most. Let's look for more. After successively killing 4 or 5 poisonous beasts comparable to those with mastery of Meridian Passage, Chun Sansi finally entered the range of the 10 Layers Mountain, where the miasma was denser than before and the evil chi between heaven and earth had increased noticeably. Ghost vein wood. Without going deeper, he saw a ghost vein wood that was as thick as a person can embrace, enveloped by miasma, and at least 800 years old. If the whole tree was felled, it would produce an inexhaustible supply of arrow shafts. But Chun Sansi did not approach recklessly, because right next to the ghost vein wood, inside a hollow of another large tree, there was a mass of dense, pale blue mystical energy, which upon estimation might possess the strength of mastery of Meridian Passage or even the profound image realm. The appearance of an exotic beast in such a place indicated that not all animals would turn into poisonous beasts. Roar! A deep roar resounded, and a colossal figure slowly emerged from the tree hollow. It was a black bear. Moreover, it was draped in an ancient monk's robe, with Buddha beads around its neck and a crescent moon spade in its hand. Who knows how many years ago a hapless martial artist had encountered it and met their doom. If Chun Sansi hadn't known about Meng Guangxin's whereabouts, his 5th senior brother, he might have suspected it was his own senior brother who had met a tragic end. Roar! After coming out, the black bear first scratched itself against the tree trunk, then started patrolling its territory. Chun Sansi decisively retreated. His sword chi skill was limited. Using it once would consume 1 set of incense. It was better to save it for preserving his life, and since the bear was an exotic beast, it would be best to leave it intact to use for food later. Thinking so, Chun Sansi turned back and chopped down the previously encountered ghost vein wood. A few dozen arrow shafts were enough to last him for a while. Moreover, the iron materials provided by the Seeking Immortal Tower were only enough to make about a dozen arrowheads. Cutting down so many trunks would have been wasteful. Fortunately, within a valley at the border between Zhejiang Mountain and 10 Layers Mountain, where there was no miasma at all, Chun Sansi not only hunted 3 exotic beasts but also found the broken grass that the seeking immortal tower needed, reaping a bountiful harvest. Carrying all his finds, he returned to Liangzhou City several days later. Chun Sansi left 1 exotic beast at the military camp, which was of little help to high-realm martial artists, took all the others home for Si Kinmohua to handle, and then, armed with the iron core bow, the fierce monster tendon, and the ghost vein wood, he proceeded to the forge. High-level alchemists needed to have cultivation, and so did the craftsmen forging weapons. The person in charge of the forge was an old man with muscles all over his body. He was said to have been with Sun Dusher since his youth and was considered one of his trusted old comrades. With a cultivation at the realm of mastery of Meridian Passage, there was a chance he could even strike at the Xuanxiang realm in recent years. It was said that most of the main general's weapons from the 8 camps, including Lu Ji's heavenly halberd, were made by him. "Do you want to learn to forge?" Old Man Pang said with interest. "I hear you were learning power-quenching medicine not so long ago, and now you're about to start forging. Young man, don't you ever get tired? Jack of all trades." Chun Sansi said with a cupped fist. "Please grant me your guidance, Senior Pang." He wasn't trying to hide the special nature of the materials because once used on the battlefield, everyone would eventually know. And since they weren't celestial objects and could be found in the mortal world, knowledge of them didn't matter much. But before then, he hoped to retain the opportunity for a striking debut, not alerting the opponents from the start. Also, the belief that having more skills does not burden one was genuinely how he felt, and it didn't contradict the other consideration. "Heh, this old man is getting old. If it were someone else, I definitely wouldn't teach, but you, I have to teach no matter what." Old Man Pang quickly brought a booklet from elsewhere. "This is a set of hammer techniques. Go back and practice them, and then come find me." Chun Sansi said, "I've learned it already." After a quick mastery of swordsmanship, he had specifically taken time in the past few days to practice 2 weapons. One was the saber, and the other was the hammer. The techniques brought by the old senior were exactly what he had practiced. "Oh," Old Man Pang said excitedly. "Then that's great. Let's start right away." He went to the forging bench. In any of the 360 trades, it's the layman who watches the excitement, the insider who sees the skill. Take the forging of weapons, for example. They're divided into lower, middle, upper grades, and top grade. The 5 Tigers soul-breaking spear you're holding is upper grade, while the Jinhua sword is top grade, good enough for you to use. Actually, there was no need for you to learn forging. But since you want to learn, watch closely. Forging isn't difficult, but there are many subtleties involved. For example, to what extent to heat it, what temperature to use, and the water temperature during quenching, and so on. Chapter 273, Archery Perfection, Unavoidable_6. After a busy session, Old Man Pang forged a Shentai sword. This sword, a top-grade mystical weapon? How is it? Have you learned anything? You can start with ordinary iron materials. Almost. Chun Sansi immediately got to work and forged a treasure sword from ordinary iron materials that was considered supreme quality. Skill, forging. Mediocre, small achievement. Progress, 0/2000. Utility, unfailing success. Unfailing success. Weapons of the mundane, perfected in 1 attempt. Old Man Pang, ? He snatched the sword away, holding it up to scrutinize it closely, and upon confirming it was indeed of exceptional quality, couldn't help but gasp in shock repeatedly. "You lad, are you even human?" Even Chun Sansi himself was somewhat stunned. Was he at small achievement level just by picking it up? No need to go through the entry-level process at all? On second thought, it made sense. Keen intuition, photographic memory, Qilin's heart, when all these advantages combined, it would indeed be idiotic not to learn. Moreover, it really wasn't as complicated as he had imagined. First off, he already knew the hammer technique for forging and using true dragon power to forge, as well as the magical qualities of the quenching medicine, made learning a breeze. It really was learnable at a glance. Chun Sansi, seeing the word mediocre beside the skill entry, knew that there were probably not only immortals but also divine weapons, which reminded him of the silver long spear that appeared in his master's hand when he killed Ning Chongquan. All right, I see there's nothing really left for me to teach you. Old man Pang sighed with a sense of defeat, feeling like his life had somehow lost its meaning. He then brought out some books. The forging methods for different weapons are all recorded here, you can just follow them. Don't come looking for me anymore. Chun Sansi bowed with a cupped fist salute. He requested a separate room in the forge and spent the next 3 days and nights, successfully pushing his forging skill to the brink of great success, essentially able to refine away the impurities within the iron materials. Following that, he used the iron materials provided by the Seeking Immortal Tower and coupled them with Ghost Vein Wood to create 12 arrows capable of storing power. Finally, with additional materials and focusing on Fierce Monster Tendon, he crafted the bowstring for the iron core bow, signaling the completion of a great feat. Done! Chun Sansi, holding the iron core bow, returned to his home's backyard, locked the door, and brought out a stone target over half a person tall. The iron core bow itself far exceeded the weight of ordinary weapons. On both ends of its limbs were blades, capable of serving as melee weapons to kill enemies without any issue. Hum! He knocked an arrow and gently pulled the bowstring. 100 stone bow. About 15,000 jin, which was insignificant for a Huajing warrior, and this was also why many did not use bows and arrows. Even the heaviest bow couldn't phase high-realm martial artists without a special power boost. But, from now on, from this iron core bow in his hands, everything was about to change. The bow and arrow would shine brilliantly on the battlefield. Hum! The blood of the dragon elephant within Chun Sansi began to boil as he slowly drew the bow with tens of thousands of pounds of force. The true dragon power stimulated by his chi blood gathered on his arms, then spread to the bow, eventually transferring to the arrow shaft made of Ghost Vein Wood, then to the arrowhead, making the big bow seem like a poised divine beast, buzzing continuously, eager to break free. Boom! The moment he released his grip, a loud boom echoed. The black arrow made of Xian Tai, carrying the vast and boundless true dragon power, turned into an unstoppable Jiao Long in the air, and violently hit the huge stone target. Bang! The solid stone shattered instantly. This was no longer just an arrow. It was more like a cannon. If it hit an ordinary soldier under the boost of true dragon power, there would be a fist-sized hole, and it would be hard even to tell if it was caused by an arrow. Chun Sansi played with the iron core bow, unable to put it down. In future confrontations, as long as the enemy's power didn't surpass his own, regardless of their realm, he could take their life in an instant. For instance, at the moment, Chun Sansi against entry-level Huajing masters proficient in basics would be 1 arrow per person. For those with small achievements, it depended on their talent. If they were a genius, they might withstand 5 arrows. If they were mediocre or less, a maximum of 3 arrows. Within 3 arrows, he could definitely take an enemy general's life. 3 arrows might seem a lot, but don't forget, firing 3 arrows was an instant feat for him, requiring no time at all, and it would have unexpected effects on the battlefield. Against someone of the same realm, as long as he had enough arrows, he could also kill them. Unless their realm was higher, they wouldn't die directly from the arrows. And this was just at Huajing. Once he reached Meridian Passage or even the Xuanxiang realm. As long as his arrow materials were strong enough, and he could channel power or gang chi, even generals of the profound image realm would merely be souls fallen to his arrows. Moreover, his archery was on the verge of a breakthrough. Chun Sansi spent several more days using ordinary arrows, practicing at the range. Now his target practice involved moving targets. Sun Buki stood more than 300 steps away, shooting arrows randomly into the sky, and those were the targets for Chun Sansi, still hitting every single one without fail. Eventually, he felt as if there were no bow and arrows in his hand at all. By simply looking at the target with his eyes, the arrows would shoot by themselves. Finally, the long silent archery panel reappeared. Skill archery. Perfection. Breaking the first rank. Progress. 0/2000. Utility. The arrows launched cannot be dodged. Undodgeable. Man and arrow as one, impossible to avoid. Within 300 steps, it automatically seeks the enemy and is undodgeable. Undodgeable, Chinsansi could feel. With a bow in hand, no target within 300 steps could escape his arrows. That also meant everyone must take the impact head-on. Unless one's own power was formidable, or they had excellent armor, otherwise, there was only one path: death. Chapter 274 Wolong presents the memorial killing meridian passage with one arrow. Chinsansi noticed the annotation behind perfection, breaking the limit by 1 rank. It seemed that it could still be improved. The direction of improvement would most likely be the accuracy of the range and the speed of drawing and shooting the bow. Currently, it was unavoidable within 300 steps. That came to over 400 meters, nearly a mile. This distance, at any rate, ought to be sufficient. He stored away the bow and arrows. In the afternoon, Chinsansi patrolled the city, and upon returning home in the evening, he received the court's approval carried back by the courier, endorsing Su Wensai's suggestion, but Yusong's matter was not even mentioned, totally ignored as if it were thin air. The contents didn't seem like the emperor had penned it himself. Most likely, it was handled by the cabinet or ritual supervision after their presentation. Is a plaque really that difficult? Did one have to wait until he arrived in the capital and said it in person? Fortunately, Su Wensai's official position should have been secured, but the response was equally vague, without specifying what the rewards entailed. Military city. Barracks residential area. Within Liangzhou City, about half of the North City district was occupied by soldiers' families. The houses were no different from ordinary civilian residences, also divided according to military ranks. But even the humblest of these dwellings was enough for a family of 5 to live in, albeit a bit cramped. In a T-shaped dwelling in North Street Alley, a few Payong brothers off duty had laid out food and drinks in the courtyard, drinking wine and playing dice. I've got ahead. Now I'm also a general. Feng Yong, with 1 foot on the stool, said, a secondary 5th rank general of military strategy. I'm a General Wu Yi, a rank above you. The silver bestowed by the family is not small either. After a while I plan to move out, not staying in this broken alley, get a proper large courtyard. Good, good, good. Everyone has a bright future. It's really all thanks to our leader. Yes, if it weren't for him leading us to victory, where would we be today? Stuck in Payong County. That lousy place, even if not dead. A promotion would have been out of reach for life. After the camp expands, we'll definitely continue to rise. Hey, old Su. Zhu Tong looked at the scholar eating peanuts. Why haven't I heard about your promotion? Seems like they just gave you some silver? What's the situation? Zhao Kong put down his chopsticks. Just because you lack cultivation and position, treating you as just an array soldier seems a bit unfair, doesn't it? Indeed, Feng Yong said. I remember there were 2 times you covered the rear, both times you went with General by next door, almost didn't come back, it was dangerous, and after all you were commanding, why didn't they also appoint you as an official? Hey, Su Wenkai, slightly intoxicated, seemed carefree as he said, honestly, I don't mind. As long as there's a place for my talents to shine, I won't feel suffocated. Pretending, are we? Zhu Tong bluntly stated. Ever since you came back from Ming State, you old fellow have been sneakily drinking alone. Did you think I didn't notice? Su Wenkai remained silent. Everyone fell silent. Initially, when Chinsansi appointed him to manage everyone, many were displeased, but as time passed, they gradually accepted him. Su Wensai's hard work was understated, but everyone firmly remembered it. From daily training, duty arrangements, pre-combat strategic deployment, to ration management, compensation for families of the deceased, and other logistical duties for around 1,000 to 2,000 people, he was primarily responsible for overarching planning and management. Since Chinsansi was often too busy, these trivial matters naturally had to be managed by someone. And thus, all the burden naturally fell on Su Wenkai alone. In the military camp, they often got up in the middle of the night to relieve themselves and would see Su Wenkai dealing with official business. If this was to be rewarded with just some silver, it would have been rather unfair. Everyone, don't rush. Wang Ji broke the silence. Aren't you all reassured by Sansi? He's busy with his cultivation but still doesn't forget to simmer medicinal drinks for you. And a few days ago, he even got you an exotic beast to feast on. How could he possibly forget old Su's matters? Right. Stick with the superior and do a good job. That Wulong title of yours is quite high, at the same level as the main general of the Azure Dragon Camp. Impossible to obtain at the moment, but a slightly lower official rank is definitely no problem. It's all but a false reputation, Su Wenkai stubbornly said. I, Su Wenkai, never care about such empty titles. Having or not having an official position doesn't matter. Whether there are rewards or not doesn't matter. All these are external matters. I focus solely on my duties, not aiming for. The imperial decree has arrived. A loud shout commanded everyone's utmost respect. Zhao Kong, covering his mouth, whispered softly. The highest rank living nearby is just 1,000 captain. How could the imperial decree be directed here? Whose is it? Bang, bang, bang. The old wooden door was knocked heavily. Voices urging from outside came through. How bold! The imperial decree is here, what are you muttering about? Come out immediately to receive the decree. Ours? Everyone looked at each other, hastening to their feet. They went outside. In the middle of the alley, they saw an eunuch in a python robe, holding a golden-yellow imperial decree, followed by several sword-bearing guards. Aren't you kneeling down to receive the decree? Rustle, rustle, rustle. Not knowing what had happened, everyone hastily knelt down to listen to the proclamation, even secretly observing each other, suspecting whether someone among them had committed a serious offense, leading to their entire families being executed. Su Wenkai, receive the decree. Mr. Ho slowly unfolded the imperial decree and read clearly, the emperor orders under the mandate of heaven. Su Wenkai of the reserve camp, proficient in astronomy and geography, understanding of heavenly phenomena, skilled in military tactics, demonstrated bravery by repeatedly confronting the enemies during the pacification of Ming State, achieving indelible merits in the 4 crossings of Hungza and the conquest of Maishan Prefecture. We greatly appreciate and have decided to entrust a significant responsibility. Hence, we specially award the civil and military position, promote Su Wenkai to be the standard 3rd rank commander of U State Commanding Department, additionally appoint as the middle Zijiin of standard 3rd rank, also bestowing the title Mr. Wulong, and command Su Wenkai to depart to U State to assist Commander Du Shiguang in suppressing the rebellion. He shall start the journey within 10 days. By our command. Chapter 275 Wulong presents the memorial killing meridian passage with 1 arrow _2. When the words by imperial command were inscribed, everyone was still savoring the content of the imperial edict, and for a moment, they all forgot to kneel. What is this? What rank did the emperor grant Su Wenkai? 3rd rank. If they remembered correctly, General Chun was temporarily only the 3rd rank General Huai Yuan. Although everyone knew that Mr. Chun would soon be granted an audience with the emperor, and his rewards were definitely going to be greater, being only temporarily appointed to a position. Even so, 3rd rank was too high, wasn't it? The commanding department of a state managed all the garrisons of the entire state, consisting of tens of thousands of people. In it, he was the commander responsible for training, managing, and devising tactics. He was basically at the highest level, able to participate in the command during combat. It was a meteoric rise. And then the Wulong title. What was going on? This was damn near making him on par with Fang Qingyun, wasn't it? Though it was just an honorary title without any real rank. Could Su Wenkai really live up to it? Whose intercession brought about this? Was it Mr. Chen's doing? Such a significant favor. Your servant, Su Wenkai. Just as everyone was still coming to terms, Su Wenkai, while weeping bitterly, began to tremble and loudly cried out, I accept the decree and thank thee. Long live the emperor. Long live. Long live. 48. He was 48 years old this year. Since he was 16, he had taken the examinations, and his life had been but a scholar's. Today he had finally made it. Only, there seemed to be something odd. Why did they move old Su away? Wang Ji was the first to realize it. But it wasn't their place to interject. Under the gaze of the chief eunuch, everyone besides Su Wenkai discreetly left. Mr.
Su.
Mr. Ho personally stepped forward to help him up. Please don't kneel. Get up quickly. Thank you, Your Honor, for your hard work. Su Wenkai wiped his tears and rose, knowing the rules. He tremulously pulled out a silver note from his bosom. It was all he had earned from the Ming State campaign, totaling only 100 taels. This, Mr. Ho, without disdain, accepted it and then holding his sleeve, led him into the courtyard, sighing. Mr. Su, you've had it tough, enduring 30 years of examinations without success, even to the point where your family was so poor that your own mother starved to death. Alas, fortunately, you have now made it. Yes, indeed. Su Wenkai invited the eunuch to sit, picked up a broken bowl, wiped it clean with his sleeve, then poured a bowl of wine. I am an unfilial son. I spent most of my early life buried in books. Once, by chance, I copied a few extraordinary books, became engrossed in them, and for several months did not look up. The pantry at home ran out. My mother did not breathe a word to me. She gave me the remaining food and starved. By the time I noticed, my mother had already passed away. Tsk tisk. Mr. Ho, with palpable sympathy, said, Mr. Su has always been obsessed with the title Wulong, possibly related to your family, right? In my youth, I boasted that the whole world would call me Wulong, and I would provide a better life for my father, my mother, and my sister. But Su Wenkai did not continue recounting the painful memories, and with a deep sigh he concluded, Fortunately, now that I have received a legitimate reward, next year on the anniversary of their deaths, I can at least have the face to talk to them. A light boat has passed 10,000 heavy mountains. Mr. Ho gently patted his back. Mr. Su, your good days have started. Su Wenkai repeatedly nodded. Many thanks to the Emperor. Many thanks to the great man. Great man? Are you referring to General Chen? Mr. Ho curled his lips. Mr. Chen did not mention the Wulong title in the petition. It was completely the Emperor's favor towards you. Do you understand our meaning, Mr. Su? The previously teary-eyed Su Wenkai, upon hearing this comment, suddenly had a clear gaze. He squinted slightly but soon adjusted back, showing no sign of anomaly, and promptly knelt down, gratefully bursting into tears. I, Su Wenkai, knock head in gratitude for the heavenly grace. You know what's important. Mr. Ho, holding the wine bowl, sniffed the aroma of the wine and with slight disdain, put it down. As long as you always clearly understand your position, in the future, you will naturally have the opportunity to realize your ambitions. Rest assured, Your Honor. Su Wenkai, beating his chest, then tentatively asked, Could Your Honor reveal a bit of what Mr. Chan said about me in the petition? Well, he did not mention the title. Mr. Ho, pinching his shrill voice, said, After all, who wouldn't want a talent like Mr. Su to remain under their command forever? That's outrageous. Su Wenkai clenched his teeth, muttering under his breath. How could he treat me this way, if it weren't for my sacrifice, due to Bai Thingji's foolishness? His implication was clear. How could they limit his future? Oh! Mr. Ho's eyes briefly flashed with surprise, seemingly not expecting such a good outcome. Enough! After all, he has been kind to me. Su Wenkai sighed. In the future, I will still help him, to repay the kindness for taking me out of Pyong back then, but I will no longer sell my life for him. It seems Mr. Su indeed values old affection. I admire that. Mr. Ho congratulated. Once you are in Yu State, it's like a fish entering the sea, a vast world where you can freely display your talents. I am already well aware of the situation in Yu State. Su Wenkai toyed with his feather fan. Tonight, I will devise a detailed plan to suppress bandits and pacify rebels. Good, however, I must remind you again. Mr. Ho said, with General Fang's precedent, to live up to the Wulong title, you will likely need to endure great pressure. Mr. Su, strive to achieve deeds. Being standard third-rank commander is just the beginning. Once the expansion is completed in the future, who knows if you couldn't become a renowned military scholar in your own right. Chapter 276 Wulong presents the memorial Killing Meridian Passage with 1 arrow_3. I understand. This is a test of the sword. Su Wenkai held his feather fan and bowed with a fist. I shall exert all my effort and not let His Majesty down. Then, Mr. Su, you should prepare well. Once the day arrives, we will set off immediately. Moreover, being a scholar, it's imperative to have guards during warfare. Even General Fong needs a deputy general of the profound image realm as an aide. These 2 guards, Mr. Ho pointed towards the door where the sword-bearing guards were standing, have been selected from the Forbidden Army. Both are assistant generals of the Meridian Passage realm and will henceforth be Mr. Su's personal protectors. This subordinate pays respects to Mr. Su. The 2 guards stepped forward and gave a respectful salute. I still have some official matters to handle, so I won't stay much longer. The safety of Mr. Su is in your hands. After Mr. Ho gave his instructions, he left the estate. Su Wenkai sat on a long bench, gently swaying his feather fan, gazing at the 2 deeply respectful guards standing at the door, lost in thought. Bang! The door was kicked open. Zhu Tong walked in carelessly. You little kid have really made something of yourself, haven't you? Indeed. 3rd rank. The rest of the people also squeezed in continuously, seeking excitement. You've really hit the big time. They even appointed you Wulong. What's going on? Old Su, hurry up and tell us. Su Wenkai started speaking slowly. Call me Mr. Su, or Mr. Wulong. Everyone was startled, but they didn't take it seriously, assuming it was a joke. Old fellow, you've really made it big. Yeah. Now you've got to treat us to a big meal. Generals. Su Wenkai walked over to the guards, and before he could speak, the latter proactively handed over silver. He bowed with a fist. Thank you. Once I take office in Yu State, I will repay you. Zhu Baizong, General Zhao. Let's go. Today's feast at Immortal Crane Tower is on me. You're really putting on airs. What position are you holding in private? Exactly. Look at how pleased he is with himself. 3rd rank is indeed a high office. Let's go. We must get a good feast out of the old kid today. Inside the Immortal Crane Tower, a banquet was grandly set. However, everyone felt a bit displeased. Ever since they received the imperial decree, they felt like Su Wenkai became a different person, as if a thick barrier had been erected between them. The conversations and drinking no longer felt as joyous as before. Their mood for drinking was diminishing more and more. It was almost to the point of parting on unpleasant terms. In the end, Su Wenkai raised his cup and proclaimed, Gentlemen, thank you for your cooperation over the 2 years we've served together in the army, as well as for your care on the battlefield. But there's no such thing as a feast that never ends. After this cup, I will be off to take my post in Yu State. From now on, our association with each other may grow less and less. His words were somewhat diplomatic, but anyone with a bit of sense could detect the estrangement in them. To translate, it was as if they were taking separate paths under the same sky, from brothers to merely colleagues, signaling a cut from their past. Bang! Hearing this, Feng Yong slammed the table and stood up. Old Su, are you serious? Do you really think you're some high official now? You've only had the imperial decree for half a day, and already you have this attitude. Who are you trying to show? What do you know? He's being transferred to Yu State, and who knows how high an official he will become. Does he need to stay under Mr. Chen's command anymore? You mean he doesn't plan to mix with Shanshur anymore and wants to be his own boss? Zhu Tong was the last to understand. Otherwise, what do you think he means? I've seen it for a long time that he has ambition. How many times in the night he would be lying there, looking at the entire map of dashing, if not to dream of commanding as a leader with free rein. We wouldn't have said anything if you wanted to be a commander, but did you have to cut ties with us? What? Do we embarrass you now? Speaking in riddles. Disgusting. Let's go. Who cares for his treat? Leave the money with him. People started pulling out silver coins from their waists, tossing them on the table, and one by one they left the banquet. A base fellow when in high position. Contemptible. Zhu Tong finally found a couple of words to describe his feelings, spitting them out before grabbing his hammer and leaving. At the dining table, only Wang Ji and Su Wenkai remained. Su Wenkai stared at the silver coins scattered across the table and the leftover feast, unable to speak for a long time. Wang Ji stood up, sword in hand, his voice relatively calm. "I'm about to leave. Do you have any message you want me to deliver to Shancher? I'd trouble Mr. Wang to deliver this letter to Mr. Chun." Su Wenkai pulled out a letter he had written in the next room while everyone else was drinking. "Well, farewell." Wang Ji bowed and left. Military City. The small training field. Chun Sansi continued his arduous spear practice as always. With the dual reinforcements of treasure medicine and spiritual grain, his proficiency kept climbing. The Meridian Passage realm had 4 stages, each with different utilities. The entry realm was also known as Tong Qiao. After Tong Qiao, the Qi blood refined strength can flow within the body. While increasing the strength of the meridians and the physique, it also brings incredible explosive power. From then on, martial artists rely not only on their physical strength but also on the dormant meridians within the body. The expert realm was known as opening veins. The human body has a total of 12 main meridians and the 8 extraordinary meridians, making 20 primary meridians, plus countless smaller ones. Opening the 12 main meridians constitutes the success of opening veins. After opening veins, strength can be stored in these 12 meridians. The amount that can be stored depends on how much the meridians have been widened and the number of smaller meridians that have been opened. Chapter 277 Wulong presents the memorial Killing Meridian Passage with 1 arrow_4. The strength of a Huajing warrior is completely reliant on the consumption of Qi blood, and although the attack power far exceeds that of Qi blood alone, the depletion to one's Qi blood is also immensely substantial, almost equivalent to more than 3 times that of the refining internal realm. Once Qi blood is completely depleted, the strength can no longer be mustered. So many Huajing warriors on the battlefield will not use their strength unless it is time to fight desperately. Instead, they continue to use Qi blood to kill enemies until they meet an opponent of equal strength, and only then will they use their strength. It's just that Chun Sansi has such great endurance, he never had this concern. But for martial artists who reach the meridian opening realm, it's a different story. On a regular basis, they can store enough in the 12 meridians to last a long time in one depletion, taking many lives on the battlefield before they are exhausted. Minor Meridian Passage is about learning to let the strength circulate within the meridians in a circulation, and then open the 24 minor meridians to further enhance the strength and purity of the strength. The ultimate great achievement is the opening of the 8 extraordinary meridians. After reaching the great achievement realm, there is no longer a need to use Qi blood to generate strength, but instead, strength is continuously mustered through the 8 extraordinary meridians. The endurance and strength depend on how solid the previous foundation was, and it could also be said to be a matter of physique. Starting from the Meridian Passage realm, martial artists truly begin to advance towards the mysterious direction, rather than just relying on physical strength. Chun Sansi swung the long spear and distinctly felt something starting from the bottom of his feet, like mechanisms in his body being opened one by one. Clearly, the acupoints of the human body. The 720 acupoints aren't opened one by one, but rather they are honed continuously in daily life, and when a breakthrough of a bottleneck occurs, they all successfully open at once. Each acupoint's opening brings heart-wrenching, excruciating pain, enduring the torture of 720 occurrences. Finally, all acupoints in his body were opened, and streams of strength surged into the 12 major meridians. If one says, before this point, martial artists treated strength as a kind of weapon to wield. Then from this moment on, strength is fully integrated with the martial artist. The martial artist himself becomes the weapon. I finally made a breakthrough. Cultivation technique. National Guardian Dragon Spear. Meridian Passage. Entry level. Progress. 0/500. Utility. Strength merges with the body merges with the weapon, the three become one, impregnable. Impregnable. Unless one is outright overpowered in terms of raw strength, no flaws appear merely by technique. Chun Sansi planted the spear into the ground. After Meridian Passage, I am truly worthy of the title of Assistant General. An Assistant General of the elite camp equates to the Meridian Passage realm, and he finally no longer predated his position, meeting the average standard. He closed his eyes, carefully feeling the sensation of the Meridian Passage realm. The colorless and formless strength flowed within him, not interfering with the purple incense breath in the meridians. Human meridians are inherently existing. Anyone with a spirit root can absorb nature's spiritual energy into the meridians, but infusing strength into the meridians requires day after day of martial arts practice and tremendous effort. One relies on the spirit of heaven and earth. The other, the body of a mortal, goes against the heavens. This, perhaps, is the way of martial arts. Picking up the spear, Chun Sansi went to the pharmacy to practice alchemy. He mastered the routines of power, quenching medicine to the point that every attempt pushed his current realm to the limit, and muscle memory took over, requiring no further thought. Shortly, a batch of great nourishing medicine to enhance the cultivation of refining organ martial artists was refined. The fragrance of the medicine wafted from the cauldron and spread throughout the room. Skill, medical skill. Mortal, small achievement. Progress, 0/2000. Utility, Alchemy Master. Alchemy Master. The quenched medicine has only 1/10 of residual toxins. 1/10. The medicine prepared by Chun Sansi contained only 1/10 residual toxins, bypassing first rate and stepping into the realm of mastery. This meant ordinary martial artists who could drink only 1 bowl every 3 days due to residual toxins could now have 2 to 3 bowls. The speed of cultivation enhancement was obviously significant. My lord! Zhao Kong came in to take his medicine, and immediately felt something was wrong. My lord, the medicine you've prepared. Why is it even more potent than that from Jiang Tiling and the rest? And the residual toxins seem even less. No need to make a fuss. Call all those above bone training as well. I've prepared some for them too. Yes. Soon, a dozen people gathered in the room. Their expressions turned incredulous after drinking the medicine. Though it was ordinary supplemental medicine, the effect was beyond words. From today onward, you all must focus on your cultivation. Chun Sansi instructed, I will brew the medicine according to each person's highest digestive capability. If your own share isn't sufficient, I'll pay for the medicinal ingredients for you. Within 1 month, I want 5 more of you to reach refining internal. Within 6 months, at least 1 to achieve Huajin. Can you do it? Rest assured, my lord. Lu Jinkue assured. With this medicine, I will break through to refining internal at most within half a month. I can too. I'm almost there too. Many of them were already at bone forging perfection. Thank you, my lord. The people spoke, all kneeling on one knee, deeply grateful from the bottom of their hearts. These people were really a group of good-for-nothings, somehow sustained until now. Where else would superiors personally brew medicine and pay for their subordinates' medicinal ingredients? Why haven't I seen Su Wenkai these past few days? Chun Sansi had been busy breaking through to Meridian Passage and hadn't inquired. Chapter 278 Wolong presents the memorial Killing Meridian Passage with 1@5. My lord, didn't you know? Zhao Kong frowned. Mr. Su transferred out a couple of days ago. They recounted the occurrences preceding this. My lord, it was already enough that Su Wenkai was putting on airs. Feng Yong stated. He was about to leave and he didn't even come to inform you? Pa! Wuda cursed. This old thing, if not for my lord, what would he be? When he first enlisted, he was almost hauled off to build walls. He might as well have been buried in one. Chun Sansi didn't rush to respond. Instead, he analyzed the content he'd heard in his mind. Assistant General, plus the title of Wolong. The imperial grant was indeed ruthless. It seemed the emperor truly intended to cultivate Su Wenkai as the next Fang Qingyun, and a more controllable Fang Qingyun at that. Currently being an assistant general was probably only the beginning. If he could indeed make achievements in state, he would likely be promoted even higher afterward. I have indeed underestimated the court's intelligence capabilities. In the memorial, Chun Sansi had written in great detail about Su Wensai's contributions since enlisting in the army. But since he didn't have credits earned independently, he dared not write outright the request for the title Wulong. He planned to secure an official position first and then proceed slowly. After all, sometimes being raised too high too swiftly isn't a good thing, especially if you're staying in the 8 camps, where people from the other camps would create a commotion if they heard he had a Wulong under an assistant general, as it might diminish Fang Qingyun's status. Unexpectedly, the emperor not only knew Su Wensai's lifelong ambitions, but also directly and decisively transferred him to partake in warfare in state. If he couldn't establish meritorious deeds, it could well lead to his beheading. Of course, Chun Sansi believed Old Scholar still had that capability. As for why he didn't come to bid farewell, the reason was straightforward. Severance. The emperor gave him this opportunity because he valued that he had no cultivation and no factional ties. If he continued to be deeply bound with me, it would be impossible for him to climb higher. This old chap is too infuriating. Feng Yong grumbled. He hasn't even made a name for himself yet and he's already disregarding my lord. Imagine if he really does succeed, wouldn't he be looking down on everyone? Enough! Chun Sansi stopped them. Old Su has his own path to pursue. Let's not bring this up again. He understood Old Scholar. The man was cunning but not a villain. The behavior of villains who achieve success isn't something Su Wenkai would do. He noticed Wang Ji, standing at the back of the crowd, signaling him with his eyes, so he drove the rest away. After closing the door, Chun Sansi inquired, "Sixth brother, something's up?" "Yes." Wang Ji pulled out a sealed letter from his robe. "This is from Old Su for you. I thought he was acting strange. He's not usually like that. There must be some hidden issue. These past few days you were training without even eating or drinking. I was watching by your side and didn't dare to disturb you. How is it? Did you achieve Meridian Passage?" "Yes." Chun Sansi did not conceal the truth. After he opened the envelope and saw the neat script, he began to mentally recite it. The opening sentence alone flustered him. "I, a humble man, idle about in Pyong, fortunate to not be abandoned by you." The first part was mostly about how grateful he was for finding a benefactor. The latter part, however, began to describe grand ambitions. The summary of the meaning was that the severance was just for show, hoping not to take offense, and only by acting the part could he truly gain control of military forces. Being an assistant general was far from enough. He mentioned that he should be given a chance, promising to bring back 20,000 elite troops within a year. Why would I need so many troops? Chun Sansi's own goal had merely been to lead one camp, that is, just over 10,000 men. Here was Old Scholar talking about bringing him over 20,000 men. And that, your servant term. Using it in their conversation, wasn't it a bit inappropriate? What was he up to? The last sentence of the letter went as follows. "Now as I leave far away, tears flowing down as I write, I'm at a loss for words." After reading it, Chun Sansi found himself momentarily unsure of how to judge the situation. "How is it?" Curiously, Wang Ji asked, "What did Old Su say in the letter?" Chun Sansi apologized. "Please forgive me, brother. He asked me not to share it. By saying that, I understand. Just knew there was something off about that old chap." Wang Ji nodded knowingly, lowering his voice. "I estimate the emperor had the genie guard investigate Su Wenkai and, after confirming he could be controlled, decided to try and win him over. Moreover, you can't even talk about it. If you show discontent, you'll be seen as petty, as restricting your subordinates' prospects, and to put it seriously, it can be labeled as forming cliques for personal gain. As for our emperor, he doesn't have many skills, but he is masterful in dividing and balancing power, just like it used to be. Just wait, after the expansion of the camps, at least half of the military officers will belong to the court rather than being from the 8 camps. Yes, Chun Sansi was well aware. But these issues weren't for him to worry about now. Even if distressed, he could not get involved. He dared not let a third person see Su One-Size letter. Many words inside were simply treasonous. If word got out, it could bring great trouble and turmoil. He immediately threw the letter into the furnace and turned it to ash. Wang Ji was ready to leave. "Brother." Chen Sansi stopped him. "Wait for me. I believe there definitely must be a way to cure the meridians." Wang Ji felt somewhat embarrassed. "Brother, you need not worry about me. I'm quite content as is. Fewer people under me, less responsibility, and I sleep soundly." Chapter 279 Wulong presents the memorial Killing Meridian passage with 1 arrow_6. "Get real," Chen Sansi said. "Apart from you, everyone else is in such bad shape that I can only rely on you, elder brother." Wang Ji held his knife, opening his mouth to speak, then hesitating. He had wanted to talk about the 8 taels of silver from before. In truth, he wasn't planning on taking it for nothing. Back then, people from Tianyuan Martial Arts Academy tried to trip him up, suggesting through their words that they wanted Chen Sansi's life. Wang Ji took the silver and, at first, really didn't plan to teach the breathing skill, but he actually intended to save Chen Sansi's life once, 8 taels of silver in exchange for a life, which in his view was a good deal. He was greedy, but he never harmed a life. Most of what he coveted was the martial arts hall's silver. Yet some things, once their time has passed, seemed to require no further explanation. And it seemed that Chen Sansi really held no grudge against him. After much thought, Wang Ji finally decided to push the door open and leave. Chen Sansi got up and returned to the martial arts arena to practice his martial arts. In the evening, as he was packing up his things and calling for Qian Sun to prepare to go home, the sound of thundering hoofs approached. All at once, they saw elder brother Ji, riding a horse that was entirely red, constantly emitting white smoke, and from a distance, it looked as though it had burst out of flames. "Whoa! Junior brother, I've just received your dispatch." He pulled his horse to a stop. "The Ministry of War orders you to select 20 men to accompany you, then set off to Lai State to join the Eastern Expedition against Qing." "Eastern Expedition?" Chen Sansi asked in confusion. "Just 20 men? The journey is long. Having too many people can be troublesome and slow. After you head south, you will go directly by water, reaching the Eastern Territory with the utmost speed." Ji said solemnly, "The Emperor has already prepared 3,000 black armor troops for you. As soon as you arrive, they will be completely at your command." Black armor troops? Chen Sansi had heard of them. They were the most elite troops among the Emperor's personal forces. Everyone wore black armor, and their horses were all top-grade war horses. "Also," Ji continued, "the 4th brother is waiting for you at the destination. Get your things ready and set out quickly. As far as I know, this is an opportunity the Emperor has specially arranged for you to earn a higher title and reward." Chen Sansi asked, "Does elder brother know the current situation on the Eastern Front?" "All is going well," Ji replied seriously. "Without any unexpected events, within a year, we should be able to reclaim the 3 states. At that time, the Emperor will hold a grand ceremony at Ziwei Mountain, and the meritorious will be rewarded at the old site of the temple." "You beast! What are you doing?" While they were talking, Ji's fire horse slowly approached the white swan horse, and then, it was promptly kicked away by Qian Sun, who then turned its head away haughtily, refusing to give it another glance. The fire horse, a mix of grievance and anger in its whinny, tried to get close again. Smack! Without saying another word, Ji smacked it on the head. "You beast! Have you got a death wish?" "Chen Sansi," Ji said somewhat embarrassedly. "This beast doesn't usually act like this. Sorry to make you laugh, junior brother. In any case, prepare well when you get back. In 3 days, your group will depart from Liangzhou." Chen Sansi clasped his fist in thanks. "Many thanks for the information, elder brother." Chen Sansi nodded and spurred his horse away. "I've only come back to rest for 2 months. Even Chen Sansi felt somewhat weary. But who isn't tired living in such chaotic times? He considered himself fortunate. "Let's go home." Chien Sun. This time you have another 3,000 cavalry to command. Chun Sansi gently stroked the horse's mane. Everyone says I've accomplished great deeds, but in truth, each time we go to war, you're the standout, indispensable. Do you think I'm stingy? That won't do. I need the ointment myself, but just wait. If you distinguish yourself again, you'll definitely be rewarded. The favored pair chatted like this as they arrived in front of the governor mansion. Daddy! Chun Yunshi waited for her father to pick her up, under the care of a maid.
Come Yunxi.
Chun Sansi lifted the girl onto the horseback and bought her a few strings of candied haws on the way. He had recently made a special trip to the governor mansion. But even Yunchi herself couldn't find the young gentleman she had seen before, as if he had vanished from the face of the earth. Here they come again, Chun Sansi noted. Not long after leaving the governor mansion, 2 Taoist priests from Siayun Temple began to follow from a distance again. He stopped subtly in front of Chun Mansion and said, "You go home first, child. Winter is approaching, and I'm going to the mountains to hunt a tiger to make 2 blankets for you and your brother. We have seen the young miss." Si Chin reached out to take Chun Yunshi away. Chun Sansi then rode his horse out of the city. Those two were merely adept at meridian passage. Since his own breakthrough, he hadn't had a chance to spar with anyone. It was a good opportunity to test his arrows on these two. Moreover, it was best to keep one alive. If they were from the witch god sect, he could try to find out what they were up to.
Galip glop.
Twang! In the rhythmic sound of horse hooves, suddenly a thunderous bowstring note mingled in. 200 paces away. The trailing Taoist had no idea when the other party had drawn their bow, and by the time he realized it, the arrow was only a few steps away from his heart. He was initially shocked, then disdainfully tried to bat the arrow away with a palm strike, thinking, "This kid is laughable. High-realm martial artists and arrows, of what use are they?" However, the Taoist's palm, imbued with 20% of his power, froze on his face the moment it touched the arrowhead. What is this? Power. True dragon strength. An arrow. With power. Boom! With no time for any further reaction, the arrowhead carrying a massive force pierced through the Taoist's palm used for defense, then ripped through his body, shredding the heart before flying out more than 10 yards, finally falling in a parabola to the ground, creating a large crater. One arrow, one life. Chapter 280. In October in Liangzhou, the Dragon Temple was burned down by the Tongtian River in the southeast. Another Taoist, with eyes wide open, watched his companion fall straight down. His pupils trembled violently before suddenly constricting. Even if they were unprepared, they were still in the meridian passage realm. How could they die under the bow and arrow? This person's bow and arrow, why can they carry such force? What material is it made of? This time, the arrow was coming for him. The Taoist dared not be careless anymore, drawing the long sword from his waist and, with power surging through it, he slashed at the incoming arrow. The next moment he felt as though he was hacking at a sea-escaping Jiao Long. Stunned by the terrifying impact, the blade vibrated away, and he himself staggered back repeatedly, barely stabilizing himself with the help of a big tree, only for the next arrow to follow closely behind. He didn't even have the chance to catch his breath before he had to deal with the arrow again. This time, the bow and arrow were imbued with an even more powerful force. It was just blocking an arrow, yet it felt as if he were fighting a martial artist. And a martial artist with no weaknesses at that. Because what did it matter if he chopped the arrow in two? From such a great distance, he couldn't even scratch the person who fired the bow and arrow. The third arrow shot through the air. The soft sword in the Taoist's hand seemed to be enduring strangulation, twisting and deforming with crack-crack sounds. The arrowhead unstoppable as it pierced through his thigh and out with a huge see-through hole. Ah! He began to howl, activating the blood explosion state in an attempt to escape, but the white horse caught up in a moment of negligence. Chun Sansi didn't even use the long spear, just wielded the iron core bow in his hand as a weapon, smashing it hard onto the Taoist's chest. After spewing a mouthful of blood mist skyward and crashing to the ground, his blood explosion state was disrupted, struggling to crawl, no longer able to stand up. These two people's power is really weak. He dismounted, first using ordinary arrows to pin the Taoist's limbs to the ground, then approached to interrogate, "Who are you?" "I am a Taoist from the Ci Yun Temple." Slap! Chun Sansi delivered a powerful slap, knocking out half of his teeth, then searched his body and quickly found a Vajra pestle. "Which god sect?" "Chun Sansi, you can't escape. Sun Xiangzong can't escape. None of you people from Liangzhou can escape." "Ah!" The witch god sect follower kept cursing until he suddenly died violently. After prying open his mouth, Chun Sansi found a poisonous sac hidden inside for suicide. These witch god sect followers, are they all so tough-mouthed? Everyone can't escape. Such frightening words. What are they plotting? One thing was certain. The witch god sect followers came for him because he had seen through the secret in the nourishing spirit soup. Yet, in reality, he still hadn't figured out what had been added to the medicine. Moreover, since the deaths of Qiu Mingzi and the other, the preaching conference had also been halted. But the number of disciples from the sect dying was still on the rise. Their blood. Chun Sansi played with the Vajra pestle. What is it used for? His intuition told him that it was probably related to the evil qi surging up from the deepest part of the Luotian mountain range. If that was the case, there were probably real masters of the witch god sect lurking in Liangzhou City, just not showing themselves yet. Where there's something abnormal, there's something spurious. The spurious in Liangzhou was deep within the Luotian mountain range. Unfortunately, he couldn't get in yet. Profound Image Realm. A war, at the very least, would take a year and a half by the time he got back from the Eastern Territory. If not the Profound Image Realm, he would be at the great success of the Meridian Passage Realm and should be able to endure reaching to the last two heavy mountains. Chun Sansi began to collect arrows and found a booklet with the disguise technique, applied to another witch god sect follower's body. He glanced through it briefly. The early stages were not complicated, merely using some materials to change one's appearance. But if one learned further, it could eventually enable bone shrinking, and even more advanced stages to hide one's cultivation aura. A man can never have too many skills. He could try it out when he got back. After dealing with the scene, Chun Sansi carried the bodies into the Luotian mountain range, watching with his own eyes as they were devoured by wolves, then caught a tiger to carry down the mountain, making it back home before nightfall. At the dinner table, he spoke of having to set out on another military campaign. "Are you leaving again? How long have you been back? Daddy is going to war again?" A soldier's life is not his own. Chun Sansi clasped his fists and said, "Senior Sister 9, I don't know when I'll be able to return after I leave this time, so please take good care of my family." "Don't worry." Rong Yanxiu pinched a piece of pastry. "Even if I have to go back to Yen's state, I can take them to the governor mansion. It's much safer there." In the governor mansion, naturally, there was also protection from those in the high realm. Chun Sansi nodded. "Yes, that works." That said, Rong Yanxiu arched her eyebrows, asking, "Do you understand the situation in the east this time?" "I know roughly. General Meng is very impressive. The battle is going beautifully. The only concern is that if we want to reclaim the three states, the manpower is still a bit tight." Chun Sansi simply used a wine cup and rice bowl as maps. The main problem of the Great Qing dynasty is that pulling one hair moves the whole body. Currently, West Qi Kingdom has not recovered, but Nansu country and the grassland savages are still eyeing us threateningly. Especially Nansu, they border Dongqing just as well. And if this war continues, it's likely Nansu will send reinforcements. Because once the eastern border three states are lost, in the future the Great Qing dynasty will be able to oversee Nansu. The principle that the loss of the lips could doom the teeth, they will not fail to understand. If the Eastern Territory continues to send more troops, wars will rise again in the north and south.